Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Cabbage Head Fanfics. Back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Inherited Kirby's Quirk? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. There is no need to fear, why? Because I am here. All Might said. Izuku watched the video with glee as he imagined what his quirk will let him do. All right Izuku, I think you watched enough, it's time for bed. Izuku turned and saw his mom walking up to him. He turned to the clock and saw it was already 9 p.m. He got out of the chair and went to his room. Inko smiled as she turned off the computer and made her way to her son's room. When she got there she saw her son pulling his blanket up before looking at her. Are you excited to go to the doctor and find out your quirk? She asked. Yep, everyone at school has their quirk and I can't wait to get mine, he said with a smile on his face. All right, well you better get to sleep because your appointment is very early, she said before giving him a goodnight kiss. Good night, mommy. Good night, Izuku. With their goodnights said and done, both mother and son went to sleep. The next day. Well ma'am, aside from the pink skin and hair it seems your son can inhale anything and shoot it out. Plus, he also seems to be able to create stars for some reason, along with being able to be stretched without harm and insane strength, the doctor said. Oh my, he can really do all that? Inko asked. Yep, he has a very powerful quirk, one that will make becoming a hero very easy, the doctor said. Izuku had stopped listening after he heard what the doctor said. He had such a powerful quirk and could definitely become a hero. As they left he couldn't wait to tell Kachin about his quirk. The mother and son were almost to their apartment when then saw Endeavor fighting a bunch of villains right in the street. Oh my, come on Izuku, we need to go, Inko said as they turned to run away. Before they could get far one of the villains lunged at the two and grabbed Inko. Mom, Izuku cried out only to be stomped on by the villain. All right Endeavor, surrender or the family does, the Jillian said holding a knife to Inko's throat. If Endeavor heard the villain he did not show it as he continued to take down the rest of the villains. The guy holding Inko hostage realized this and began to drag her away. Izuku began to get up and turned around and saw the guy dragging his mom. Let my mom go, Izuku shouted. Sorry kid, but I need a shield and this woman will do nicely, the man said. Izuku, head to the police officers over there and stay safe, Inko begged. Before Izuku could move, a fireball flew over him and hit the wall next to the villain, causing an explosion. Izuku immediately ran to his mom as the Jillian in his daze let her slip. Once he made sure she was okay he looked around and called for a medic. Endeavor ran and grabbed the villain before slamming him into the ground. He then turned to the mother and son before dragging the criminal to the police while the paramedics made sure the family was okay. What the hell was that, Endeavor? You could have killed that woman, her son and the villain, asked a detective in a beige trench. Who cares, the villain is a criminal and the family should not have gotten in my way, he replied before walking away. Unbeknownst to the two, one villain got free and summoned a sword. When they noticed he lunged at the detective ready to kill. Before anyone reacted a strong gust of wind started pulling the villain. The guy turned and saw the brat he stomped earlier. With a smirk he threw the sword at the kid. Look out! The detective yelled only to be shocked when the child swallowed the sword. The police immediately tackled the villain, cuffed him. The paramedics began to ask if Izuku was okay, to which he said he felt strange. Before anyone could react the boy began to glow for a few seconds before the light died down. The boy was now in a green tunic with white pants, brown boots, brown gloves and a green hat. On his back appeared to be a sword. Hello young man, I am Detective Tsukachi and first I want to thank you for saving my life, the man now identified as Tsukachi said. You're welcome, sorry about using my quirk without a license but I just acted without thinking, Izuku explained. It's alright, just don't make a habit of it, but if I may ask, why did you transform? The detective asked. I don't know, this never happened before. I know I was able to inhale things from the doctor but he never said anything about this, Izuku explained looking at his clothes. Well, we are taking you mother to the hospital. I will go with you to the hospital so I can ask you and your mother some questions, Tsukachi said. Izuku nodded as he followed the cop to his car and the two made their way to the hospital. 4 years ago. Inko screamed as she prayed for this to be over. After 10 minutes of non-stop pain, she had finally given birth. "Congratulations, Ms. Midoriya, it's a boy," the doctor said before wrapping the boy in a blanket, handed the child to the now mother. She looked at her son and was shocked. Her son had dark pink skin and green eyes that looked like an old cartoon character's. He also had light pink freckles on his cheeks. She and her son's eyes met, and almost immediately her son began to giggle. After a few minutes of letting her son play with a finger, the nurse spoke up. "Excuse me, Ms. Midoriya, but we have to wait your son, and I have his birth certificate ready to be filled out," the nurse said. "Of course," she said before handing the nurse her son and taking the clipboard. "A doctor, is this scale broken?" the nurse asked. "No, why?" the doctor asked, not even looking at her. "Because according to the scale, he is literally as light as a feather," the nurse said as the doctor looked shocked. That is kind of surprising, but all signs show he is healthy, so it may just be a part of the mutation," the doctor said before checking on the new mother. "Ms. Midoriya, have you finished filling out the birth certificate?" the doctor asked. "Yes, here you go," she said, returning the clipboard. "All right, in a few weeks you and your son Izuku will be allowed to leave," the doctor said before walking out of the room. A year later, Inko was mad. No, mad was not right. She was FNG said she had just gotten a text from her husband that he wanted a divorce. AF text, she immediately called him, ready to curse him out, when someone else answered the phone. "Hello," a woman said. Inko was shocked that a woman answered but quickly put herself together. "Yes, I am looking for a Hisashi Midoriya. To whom am I currently speaking to?" she asked. "Oh, I am his soon-to-be wife." "Who is this?" the woman said. Inko gripped the phone tighter after hearing this. "I am his wife, or should I say soon-to-be ex-wife," Inko replied, trying to calm down. "Oh, you're that cow he was with. Let me guess, you want to try and work it out?" "Well, news flash, he's mine," the woman said. "Listen here, give him the phone because I have the contact information for the court so he can attend," Inko said. "Oh, please, I know you are unemployed and probably can barely walk without having to catch your breath. Face it, not only will Hisashi win the apartment and everything inside, but he will probably get full custody of that brat you gave birth to," this stated. "All right, listen here, you FNGCNT, you don't know shit about me, so I will explain. First, my name is the only one on the lease and furniture here. Second, I don't have a job because I inherited my father's law firm, so I know the law. Finally, if you so much as talk bad about my son again, we are going to have problems. The court date is in 3 days at 2 p.m, so please call the court," Inko said calmly. The woman immediately hung up the phone, and Inko did the same. She then used her cell phone to text her soon-to-be ex the court day and time. Once that was finished, she felt tears began rolling down her cheek. Izuku, who had been watching his mother, tried crawling to her but was stopped by a baby gate. His cheeks puffed, annoyed, and then he began floating. Realizing this, the infant began trying to make his way to his mom. Inko, finally calming down, turned to the play pen only to see her son was gone. She frantically looked around before finally noticing him on the ceiling. After a small panic session, she got him down and began rocking him to sleep while looking for a roof for the play pen. A week later, it was finally over and she was single once again. Hisashi had the nerve to ask not only for the apartment and everything but to demand full custody of Izuku. Inko quickly shut him up with proof that not only had he cheated on her but that everything in the apartment was bought by her, but that he had not been in Japan at all for the past 2 years. The final thing Inko did was just some revenge. You see, she had loaned him over $300,000 to help him get on his feet, and he had not paid a cent back. Needless to say, the judge ruled in Inko's favor and he was forced to pay back the loan and pay child support. The judge had even tore into him about how dare he think he can do something like this and get everything. 2 years later, Inko, Mitsuki, and Misuru were at their kids' daycare because apparently Katsuki got into a fight and Izuku joined in to help his best friend. "So how did this fight even start?" Inko asked. "Well, one of our students thought your son was made of gum, Ms. Midoriya, and bit him," the teacher explained. "Oh my," Inko said. "Yes, so Katsuki told him to apologize, and when he refused, Katsuki shoved him before grabbing Izuku and trying to bring him to me," the teacher explained. "I am sorry for my brat's behavior," Mitsuki said. "It's fine, but the kid who bit Izuku didn't let go. Well, it may be easier to show you," the teacher said before getting up and leading the parents outside. When the parents got outside, they saw 4 students stretching Izuku like they were playing tug-of-war. The students seemed to realize the teacher was here and let Izuku go before running off. Inko was about to run to her son when all of a sudden his limbs returned to normal. "Hi," Izuku said with a big smile as he waved to his mom before running off to play with the other children. "First he can fly and now he can stretch. What's next?" Mitsuki said. Before they could continue, Izuku skipped a rock across the pond and knocked down a tree. Everyone, both adults and children, stared at Izuku in shock. Even Izuku was shocked that he did that. Inko was mentally preparing herself for anything else that could happen. 3 weeks later, Inko and Izuku were at a restaurant because Inko didn't feel like cooking. As the mother and son looked over the menu, she found what she wanted. "Hello, what would you like to eat and drink?" the waiter asked. "I will have a miso soup and chicken salad with a sweet tea. Have you decided, Izuku?" Inko asked. "I want to try the gluttony challenge and sweet tea," Izuku said with a smile. "The gluttony challenge?" Inko asked, looking through the menu before finding it. The gluttony challenge was a 6-course meal that if you could eat all of it you would not be charged for it. "Izuku, I think you should order something smaller. I don't think you could eat all that yourself," Inko said. "But then we can have plenty of food for tomorrow, plus you said you would get something for Aunt Mitsuki, so it seems like a win-win," he said with a big smile. She wanted to put her foot down on this, but she just couldn't say not to that smile, and just nodded to the waiter. After half an hour her food arrived and Izuku's food was set at a different table. "Hey everyone, we have some kid thinking he can beat the gluttony challenge. Tell you what, kid, you can even use your quirk if it can help," a chef called out. Inko saw people laughing and was about to yell at them but kept her calm. She watched as her son almost immediately began eating and in only a few minutes finished all but one plate which was out of his reach. Izuku took some deep breaths and all of a sudden a strong wind began pulling things towards him. The plate flew straight into his mouth. Completely. Everyone's jaws dropped as he swallowed the plate with a smile that showed he was satisfied. Inko just pulled out her phone and texted Izuku's doctor and told him what just happened. She then ordered some food for Mitsuki as she paid for her food and the plate Izuku ate. All the while Inko just wondered what else Izuku could do. Shizuka General Hospital. Izuku and Naomasa ran inside and immediately ran to the front desk. "Excuse me, what room is Midoriya Inko in?" asked Naomasa. "She is in room 725, but I am afraid that your son is going to have to leave his sword here," the receptionist said. "This is Ms. Midoriya's son, not mine, and as for the sword, I have tried taking it but his quirk seems to teleport it to him," he explained. "Okay, can you please deactivate your quirk then?" the receptionist asked. "I have been trying to but I can't transform back," Izuku explained. "We have a policy that no one's quirk can be in use here unless your staff," the receptionist replied. Naoma's getting tired of this pulled out his badge and showed the employee. Then began to walk with Izuku to the elevator. The ride in the elevator was silent as the detective tried to figure out what to say to the child. Once they made it to the room they walked in to see Inko awake and watching TV. "Mom?" Izuku yelled while running to her bedside. "Oh Izuku, are you okay? I was so worried about you," she said, hugging her son while both cried. "Ms. Midoriya, my name is Detective Tsukachi and I just wanted to see how you are doing," the detective said. "I will be fine. The doctor said I have a few cracked bones in my leg but other than that I am perfectly fine," she explained. "Izuku, why are you dressed up as Link with an actual sword?" she asked. "Well ma'am, one of the villains threw a sword at me and your son used his quirk to pull the weapon to him and swallowed it," the detective explained. "Your quirk just keeps getting stronger and stronger, Izu," she said with a chuckle. "Yep, but I can seem to transform back for some reason," Izuku said. The three sat in the room and began talking while waiting for the doctor or the nurse. After an hour Izuku had to use the restroom but as he was about to grab the door handle the door swung open and hit him in the face, knock him to the ground. Before the nurse who was walking in could apologize, Izuku began to glow and in a puff of smoke Izuku was in his normal attire and on the ground. "Well, that was unexpected. How are you feeling, kid?" the detective asked. "I feel fine. Why do you ask?" Izuku asked, confused. "You transformed back so I wanted to make sure you were okay," the detective said. Izuku nodded before running off to the restroom, leaving the adults alone. The nurse then told Inko she would need a cast for a while and that she would be free to check out today. Once Inko signed the paperwork the nurse left and the mother and the detective began talking. So your son's quirk gives him not only transformations but enhanced strength, durability, an elastic-like body, and the ability to eat anything. The detective asked, shocked at what Izuku could do. Yep, honestly I have no idea how much my little Izuku could do, but I know he will be able to live his dream of being a hero, she said. I know some pros who may be able to help your son train his quirk when he gets older if you want, he offered. I am sure Izuku would like that very much, she said with a smile. Time skipped to the start of junior high. A lot has changed in the past couple of years. For one thing, Izuku had been training to see how many transformations he had. So far he had discovered a total of 13 transformations, and his quirk was not the only one to change. Katsuki had trained hard enough to be able to create explosions from his feet or even his head. The duo were considered by the staff of their school to be the next top heroes and has tools to boost the school's reputation. Izuku and Katsuki had walked to the Bakugo home to work on homework and to do some light training. Alright Bubblegum Beach, let's do this, Katsuki said before jumping and roundhousing Izuku. Will you stop calling me that? Izuku said before grabbing his leg before spinning and throwing him. Never, you will never get rid of that nickname, he said. The two never slowed down, and after a few hours both were sitting in the living room playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Izuku looked at the clock and realized that it was already 8 p.m. He looked for his phone before realizing he left it at home this morning. After saying goodbye to the Bakugis, he ran home as fast as he could. It took him only half an hour to make it back. He ran inside expecting to see his mother worried. What he did not expect was to see his mom and Naomasa on the couch working together to give him a younger sibling. Izuku, I can explain, Inko yelled while she and Naomasa covered themselves. First, I know you two have been dating for months, but of all places, why the living room? Izuku asked, covering his eyes. Well, it just sort of happened and we were caught in the moment, Inko explained. Look, I am happy for both of you. I mean, Naomasa is already my dad pretty much. Just next time keep it in your room, Izuku said before stumbling to his room. The couple were about to get dressed when Izuku popped his head back in and said, oh yeah, I do want a younger sibling, and to let you both know that you're grounded, before going to his room, leaving the couple a blushing mess. After 2 more years of training, Izuku and Katsuki were making their way to UA so they can take the entrance exam. The two kept quiet till they got to the gate and looked up at the building. Look at how big the building is, Izuku said. Yep, now come on Gumball, let's get in and show these extras who the best future heroes are, Katsuki said before walking in. As the duo walked in, Izuku's foot hit a loose brick and began to fall. Before he could hit the ground, he found himself floating. He looked around and saw something he would never forget. Oh my God, she has got to be the most beautiful girl I have ever seen, he thought. I am sorry for using my quirk on you, but it would be bad luck to trip right before the exam, she said. It's fine, thank you for catching me, he said. Well, good luck, she said before releasing her quirk and running in. As he realized he need to get inside, so he ran in and caught up to Katsuki. When he saw his friend, he stopped and tried to catch his breath. What took you so long, need? Katsuki asked. I nearly fell and the most beautiful girl ever stopped me from hitting the ground, Izuku said. Well, what's the extra's name? Asked Katsuki. After a few seconds, Izuku realized something. Sheet, I didn't get her name or number. You had one job and you effed up, Katsuki said while laughing. The two were then led to 2 separate rooms for the written test. The test was over 200 questions and they had 2 hours. Luckily, our duo studied for months in order to prepare for this. 2 hours later, when the test ended, Izuku swore he saw a guy with a lightning bolt in his hair crying along with a girl with pink skin, pink hair and horns while quietly saying how glad they are that it is over. Hey, are you two okay? Izuku asked. We're fine, that test was just too difficult, I just hope all the studying helped me pass, the blonde said. Izuku noticed the pink girl looking him up and down before locking eyes with him. Pink skin buddies, the girl said with her fist out. Pink skin buddies, Izuku said returning the fist bump. My name's Mina Ishido, the girl now known as Mina said. I am Denki Kaminari, the blonde said. Izuku Midoriya, nice to meet you both, wanna go eat lunch together? He asked. Yeah, I am starving, Denki said. I am in, let's go, Mina said. The trio made their way to the cafeteria where Katsuki was waiting. Hey Kachin, I made some new friends. The guy is Kaminari and my fellow pink skin buddy is Ishido, Izuku said while grabbing food. Whatever, let's eat and get to the auditorium, Katsuki said before sitting at a table and began to eat his ghost pepper mac and cheese. So Kachin, was it what is your quirk? Kaminari asked. First, never call me Kachin again, that's the nerd's nickname for me. Second, I can create explosions from my hands, he said, not even looking away from his food. What about you Midoriya, what is your quirk? Ishido asked. Well, I can do quite a lot, but I have super strength, an elastic body, the ability to inhale anything and to shoot it back out, and if I eat certain items I transform, he explained before swallowing his entire tray in a single gulp. That's amazing, I can shoot acid from my body, Ishido explained. My quirk lets me discharge lighting from my entire body, but it fries my brain if I go over my limit, Kaminari explained. The group began to finish their lunches and made their way to the auditorium. As they arrived, they went their separate ways and sat down in their assigned seats. After a while, everyone was seated, and the lights went out. Can I get a white present? Mike said, only to be met with crickets. Tough crowd. All right, let me explain how the practical test works. There are 4 robots, each are assigned a point value ranging from 1 to 3 points, he explained. Excuse me, but the pamphlet says that there is only 3 robots. Is it a mistake on UA's part? And you with the curly pink hair, you have been muttering for the past few minutes. If you are here to cause a disturbance, then you should leave, the blue hair boy said. My muttering is a bad habit, but hey, it could be worse. I could interrupt an entire presentation and call someone out so that they get too nervous to be able to focus later, Izuku said with a smirk. Now you two calm down. As for the 4th robot, it has a value of 0 points. Now then get out there and show us what you are made of, present, Mike said before walking off stage. Izuku and Katsuki saw that they were in separate testing areas before wishing each other luck. Once Izuku was at his test site, he looked around and noticed the girl from earlier. Before he could approach her, he felt a hand on his shoulder and looked and saw the blue-haired boy from before. She looks like she is trying to focus. I will not allow you to distract her, Blue Boy said. I just wanted to thank her for stopping me from falling earlier today. Also, if you always assume the worst about people, then leave, because a hero should never jump to conclusions, Izuku said. Before the two could argue, the gate began to open, and with that Izuku took off into the makeshift city. Everyone just looked confused before present Mike told them there was no countdowns in real life. Izuku SCKD up a barrage of missiles and shot them at a couple of 2-pointers. He had been at this for a while and had earned 77 points. Just as he was about to leave the city when the ground began to shake. He looked over and saw the 0-pointer and was shocked. That is kind of overkill for a test, he thought. He was about to run with the others when he heard a familiar voice call for help. When he turned, he saw the girl from early was trapped in the path of the 0-pointer. Without thinking, he ran to help her. He grabbed the boulder and threw it at the bot before picking her up and running. Thanks for saving me, I guess we're even. My name is Achako Uraraka, she said. I'm Izuku Midoriya, nice to get your name, he said. Once they were out of the testing grounds, he sat her down before looking back at the testing ground and seeing the robot thrashing, putting more students in danger. Recovery girl will be here soon. I need to go back and help the others, Izuku said. But how will you get to them? You would need to have super speed to get everyone out before the exam ends, she said. Izuku looked and saw a tire from one of the robots, with a smirk, and began to inhale, pulling the tire to him. Once he ate it, he began to glow, and in his place was a red tire with a pink center. Everyone stared in shock and watched as the tire took off. It only took a few seconds before he returned with a few people, and the cycle kept repeating. In about 2 minutes, all the exam takers were safe. Soon the tire began doing donuts as the exam was called to an end. Recovery girl looked around and began to help everyone when she noticed a girl with a bob cut looking at a tire that was doing donuts. Are you all right, dear? Recovery girl asked, looking at the young girl. I think my ankle is broken and that boy has not transformed back, she said. Don't worry, my coworker is coming to help your friend while I treat your injuries, Recovery girl said before planting a kiss on Uraraka's ankle. Can't believe I have to help with this, a tired voice said. Everyone turned and saw what looked like a homeless guy walking up to Recovery girl. The hobo walked up to the tire, and before anyone knew it, his eyes turned red and the tire poofed into smoke, revealing another exam taker. If you get accepted, transform back on your own instead of showing off, he said. Sorry Eraserhead-san, but I can't detransform unless I get hurt, Izuku explained. Whatever, Eraserhead said before walking away. With the entrance exam over, Izuku and Uraraka were talking as they made their way to the gate where Katsuki, Mina and Denki were waiting. The group decided to head to the train station together while Izuku gave his new friends not his and Katsuki's phone number. After going their separate ways, Izuku got home to a sight he was not expecting. His mom and Naomasa were waiting in the entryway. What's going on? He asked, confused. Well dear, before we tell you, why don't you tell us about how the exam went? Inko said as they made their way into the kitchen. Once they were there, Izuku told them everything from meeting Uraraka to all his new friends. Alright, you both are being very quiet and just smiling. What happened while I was gone? Izuku asked. Well Izuku, as you know, we went on a date while you took the exam, and well, Naomasa popped the question. Into said, showing Izuku the engagement ring. That's wonderful, I am glad you both decided to finally get married, Izuku said. There is still one more thing we have to tell you, Into said. Not only are we getting married, but your mother is Prgnt, Naomasa said with a smile. Izuku couldn't stop smiling. If he tried, he hugged both his parents, excited not only for his mom and dad to get married but for his new baby brother or sister to be born. It had been a week and a half since the entrance exam and Izuku was bored. All of his friends were busy and his parents were busy looking for a larger home while he stayed home just in case his letter came. He went through nearly every room in the apartment. The only room he was not going to go through was his parents', and he refused to make that mistake again. Seriously, even teenagers know to hide their toys, so no one will find them. After an hour of having nothing to do, since some of his favorite fanfics haven't updated in months, and his favorite YouTubers haven't uploaded the next episodes of Hobocraft, he decided to go for a walk. He grabbed his phone and locked the door before going for his walk. He went to a nearby cafe and got himself a hot chocolate. Once he had his drink, he continued down the road and nearly walked into some girl who was vlogging. Excuse me, he said. No prob fam, say I'm asking random people their quirks, so what's yours? The girl asked. Oh, my quirk lets me eat anything. I have an elastic body, super strength, and some items if I eat them transform me, he explained. Demon fam, that is insane. My quirk lets me create a mist that creates an illusion that can affect everything, she said. That's insane. Name's Izuku Midoriya, what's yours? He asked. Name's Kami Utsushimi. Are you aiming to be a hero? She asked. Yep, I took the UA entrance exam recently. What about you? He asked. Yo, I am a student at Shiketsu. Well, hope you get in. Good luck fam, she said before walking away. See ya later, Kan, he said before making his way back home. When he got home, he opened the mailbox and saw a single letter with UA's logo on. He grabbed it and immediately ran to his room and opened it. Once the disc hit his desk, a projection of All Might appeared. I am here has a projection, All Might said. Wow, they got All Might to make these, he said, shocked. You are probably wondering why I am giving you this message. Well, that's because I will be teaching at UA starting this year. Now onto your score. You scored a total of 67 points. That alone would be enough to make it into the hero course. However, there was a secret point system. Rescue points. How could we not reward people for showing such heroic spirit? For those you saved, we are rewarding you with 70 rescue points, giving you a total of 137 points, putting you in first place. Welcome Izuku Midoriya to your Hero Academia. With that, the projection ended. Izuku immediately grabbed his phone and called his parents and let them know that he got accepted. After that, he texted his friends to see if they got their letters. Guys, I got in, Izuku texted. Same here, Denki replied. Ditto, Mina answered. I am in, Ichako texted. Will you extras stop? I am watching my favorite show, replied Katsuki. What is your favorite show anyway? Denki asked. His favorite show is My Little Pony, Izuku answered. You chewing gum? It is not, I don't even like that show, Katsuki replied. Rainbow Dash is Izuku. You Rainbow Dash is the best character. Wait, sheet you, Katsuki said before leaving the group chat. After a few minutes of laughing, Izuku decided to start drawing his hero costume. Time skipped till school. The group of friends walked into the classroom and saw only two people in the room. A guy with half white, half red hair and a girl with a long black ponytail. The group found their seats. After a few minutes later, a couple of classmates have shown up. One was the robot named Ida, a frog girl who goes by Tsu, a guy with a bird head and a small grape-head kid. After an hour, everyone but the teacher, some students were talking, others were goofing off. "If you're here to make friends, then get out," a voice said, causing everyone to look at a guy who looked like he never slept. "It took about 13 seconds for you all to quiet down. Work on that," the hobo said. "I am your homeroom teacher Shota Aizawa. Here is your gym uniforms. Meet me at the field in 5 minutes, he said. With that he walked out of the room, leaving the class confused. About a few minutes later, the class was in the field with Aizawa. "You barely made it. Now we are going to do the standard fitness test. Midoriya, you got first place during the entrance exam. What was your best for the ball throw?" Aizawa asked. "My best was 437 feet because my quirk gives me super strength and it is a mutation," he answered. "Okay, then try beating that with your quirk," Aizawa said before tossing a ball to him. Izuku stepped into the circle and quickly made his plan. He inhaled the ball and immediately shot the ball as far as he could. After a bit, Aizawa holds up a device that shows an infinity symbol. Everyone began to get excited when a certain pink-skinned girl said that this would be fun. "Fun, you say? Okay, then whoever gets last place gets expelled," Aizawa stated with a grin. Immediately everyone began to protest, saying it was not fair and that there is no way he can do it. Unfortunately, Aizawa shut them all down by saying life's not fair and that let teachers run the class however they want it. With that, everyone began to give the test everything they had. Long jumps. Izuku and Ichako both had the same idea, to jump and float as far as they could. The only two who were close were Katsuki and Tsu. Nearly everyone else had an above-average score. The only one who didn't was an invisible girl and the grape kid. Endurance race. Izuku had asked the girl with the ponytail, who he learned was named Momo, if she could make him a tire. She did, and he inhaled it and became what he called Wheelie Izuku, and they all began. After a while, the only two left were Izuku and Momo, who had a scooter. Aizawa just called it a tie and had Bakugo Blast Izuku. Totouch. The pink-skinned buddies dominated this event thanks to Mina's flexibility and Izuku's elastic body. The only one close to them was the 6-arm guy who created extra arms to touch his toes. "I am just going to skip the rest of the events." After all was said and done, everyone waited with bated breath. When the scores were shown, Izuku saw he was in first place and that in last place was the grape kid. "And oh, how am I going to get a harem of girls now?" he cried. "Mineta, pack your stuff, you're expelled," Aizawa said bluntly. Most students were shocked. They thought that it was just a lie to scare them. "Your class syllabus is in the classroom. You're free to leave for the rest of the day," Aizawa said before walking away. With that, everyone got changed and made their way home. After saying goodbye to everyone, after watching their teacher dragging their former classmate away, they all made their way to the locker room to change. As the class was making their way to change, Izuku felt a tap on his shoulder. He looked and saw the blonde guy with a lightning bolt in his hair. "Hey man, I got to ask, what is your quirk?" he asked. "Well, it is very complicated, but I can eat things and transform based on what some of them are," Izuku explained again. "That sounds amazing. Does it work on people or just inanimate objects?" asked the girl with the large ponytail. "I don't know if it works with people. I'm scared to try that," he answered. "Come on man, what is there to be scared of? Just spit the person back out," Mina said, wrapping an arm around his neck. "Once I eat an item, it is gone and I can't spit it back out. It's why I never used my quirk to swallow a person. Who knows what would happen to them," he said. "I know how to find out," the lightning boy said, earning everyone's attention. "It is simple. We just get a rope, tie it to a person and have you swallow them and try pulling them out," he said, only to let out a cry of pain via a jack to the eye. "Stop being an idiot and let's get changed," the jack girl said. Everyone seemed to agree and quickly entered the respective rooms, and in a few minutes all of them were walking to the classroom to get their syllabus. Once they left, most went home while a few decided to hang out. Mina and Izuku decided to drag Uraraka, Kirashima and Ioma to the mall so they can do some shopping. Izuku tried to drag Katsuki along, but the blonde ran before he could, leaving the five alone. Once they made it to the mall, they went to a clothing store and began looking. Mina and Kirashima found some sweats and were making a fashion show of it, with Ioma being the judge. Izuku found a few shirts for himself, one being a long-sleeve shirt that had a penguin holding a hammer that spoke to him for some reason. As he was looking, he saw Uraraka looking at a pair of hot pink yoga pants before sighing and looking elsewhere. I think those pants would look amazing on you, Izuku said. I can't afford them, I don't have a lot of money on me, she explained. I will get them for you, go on and try them on, he said, putting the pants in her hand and pushing her into a changing room. After a few minutes she stepped out and Izuku prayed his clothes could save him from embarrassment. The pants were very tight on her and sent his mind into overdrive. Wow, Uraraka, those pants look great on you, said Mina, who was by herself. You think so? She asked nervously. Hell yeah, and I am sure Izuku agrees, Mina said, turning Uraraka so her back was to Izuku, giving him the best sight he has seen in years. Before Uraraka could say anything, Mina slapped her but causing a squeak to leave while Izuku grabbed some tissues to stop the nosebleed he had. Mina, Uraraka quietly screamed. The pink girl just laughed as she walked away, leaving the two blushing teens alone. Uraraka immediately ran back into the room to change back while Izuku silently thanked Mina for what she did. When she stepped out of the changing room, Izuku grabbed her arm and dragged her to the registers and paid for both of their clothes. The entire time Uraraka was blushing and decided to slip a piece of paper into his bag while he was paying before the two decided to head home early. Once Izuku got home and opened his bag and saw that there was a piece of paper with a phone number on it. The next few days school was more or less just the usual classes they always had, just with pro heroes as the teachers. Today, however, was different as it was time for their first heroics class, which had everyone excited. I am coming through the door like a normal person, All Might said. Now I hope you're ready because your first heroics class is battle trials. But first, one thing every hero needs before going into the field, and that is your costumes, he said. With that, cases popped out of the wall, causing everyone to run up and grab the case with their numbers before heading to the battlegrounds. Everyone got changed and made their way to the mock city. Izuku looked at his outfit, which was kept it simple with a dark pink jumpsuit with a dark red belt which held multiple medical supplies and some other surprises, and his dark red shoes. Izuku looked at all of his classmates but nearly froze when he saw Uraraka, who was talking to Momo. I love your hero costume, Midoriya, it is very cute. I wish I was more specific. They made my suit skin tight, Uraraka said nervously. All right, you newbies, since there is only 19 of you, one of you will be by yourself, All Might said. Everyone began to ask questions like whether they will be expelled, how teams will be decided, and how their outfit looks. All Might stopped them and began drawing lots. The first trial was Izuku as the hero versus Todoroki, Ioma and Ojiro were the villains. The three went inside and set the bomb up on the third floor. While Ojiro and Ioma tried to strategize with Todoroki, the human Katy Perry song said that there was no need as he would freeze the entire building when the test began. Once All Might gave the signal, Todoroki, true to his word, froze the entire building in less than a minute. After a few seconds of the match not being called, Todoroki wondered what was going on downstairs with Izuku. The instant All Might said to go, Izuku puffed his body up and began floating around the building before spotting the bomb on the third floor. He noticed the entire build was frozen, so he landed on the roof and reached into one of his pouches and found what he was looking for, a lighter. He tossed it up and inhaled it before swallowing it. He jumped up as a gold headband with a green gem in the center appeared on his head. His hero costume was replaced with a pair of dark red sweatpants and a sleeveless vest that was unbuttoned. As he opened his eyes, his hair burst into flames. With a grin, he shot a fireball at the ground, breaking the floor and earning the attention of the others. He repeated the process till he busted into the room with the bomb. Izuku said before letting out a large amount of fire at the three. Todoroki immediately tried to counter it, but the collision of fire and ice just created steam everywhere. Izuku listened carefully for them but was thrown off his balance when a laser hit him, causing him to transform back. Ojiro jumped on Izuku in hopes of capturing him but was stopped when Izuku puffed up and began trying to skate around the room. He looked through his pouches for something that could help him, seeing as he only had 5 minutes left. He found a microphone, which was odd since he didn't even know if his quirk would work with it. Before he could react, Ojiro knocked the microphone out of his hand. Izuku immediately kicked him away and inhaled, causing the microphone to fly into his mouth. He backflipped and now was wearing black leather pants, a white t-shirt, a leather jacket that matched the pants. On his head was a pair of red headphones and in his hand was a matching cordless microphone. The villains were shocked, but before they could react, Izuku decided to take a page from Present Mike's book. Why? He screamed, causing his classmates to cover their ears. With an opening, he jumped and grabbed the bomb. The hero team wins. Please return to the waiting room for review, All Might said. As the group of 4 made it back to the monitor room, everyone looked at All Might to see who was next. Before he could say anything, Bakugo walked up and punched Midoriya in the gut with all his strength. Before anyone could move, Midoriya poofed and was no longer in Mikazuka mode. Young Bakugo, why did you attack young Midoriya? Asked All Might. He has never been able to transform back on his own, and the only way to transform him back is to hurt him, Bakugo answered. Very well then. Now quickly, who was the MVP of the match? All Might asked. It was Ojiro, sir, Momo said. Why do you think it was Yaondo Ojiro? He asked. While Midoriya was able to win, his scream could have set the bomb off. Todoroki refused to work with his teammates, believing he could handle this himself, and Ioma didn't do much while Ojiro was able to move and took a chance to capture Midoriya, Momo explained. Very good, now on to the next group, All Might said before being stopped. All Might, I got to ask, why did you put 3 people as villains? We only needed to have one group be a 2v1? Asked Sato. Well, you see, I wanted to test how well some of you do when the odds are against you and how well you work together, he explained, sweating nervously. Sir, you are sweating like crazy, are you okay? Asked Jairu. Fine, the truth is I am helping a close friend of mine prepare for his wedding, and since he was busy today, that I would help get some things to show his soon-to-be wife. Unfortunately, I forgot to get them this morning because of some robberies, and since the stores close only a half hour after classes let out, so I was trying to get done a little early in hopes I can make it, he explained. First of all, that is irresponsible, and second, I am happy for your friend, Momo said. What is your friend's name? Terest. His name is Naomasa Tsukachi, and he is a detective, he answered, causing Izuku, who was drinking some water, to do a spit take. Are you all right, Midoriya? Uraraka asked. I am fine. Hey, All Might, if you want I can go get the items while you teach class, Izuku offered. While I appreciate the offer, I have to ask why you wish to help a stranger with their wedding prep? All Might asked. He is marrying my mom, so he is far from a stranger, Izuku explained. I would very much appreciate it, young Midoriya. Here, this is a pass to use your quirk that UA gives some students who feel like they are in danger, All Might said. With that said, Izuku grabbed the pass and ran to change, but not before pulling out a bow and arrow. He tossed them up and ate them. When the glow died down, he was wearing a white tunic with shoulder pads, a bow and arrow, and most shockingly a pair of angel wings. He immediately flew out of the room and began making his way to where he needed to go. As soon as he left, Nedzu walked in with a smile on his face, which no one could tell if that was good or bad. Maybe I should have let Aizawa sit in on the class. Don't do this again and there won't be any problems, Nedzu said before walking out. Alright, now we will do 2v2 matches until 3 of you left, All Might said, still sweating but this time in fear. Since I am lazy, I am going to just make a list of teams and who won. Uraraka and Jair has villains versus Bakugo and Sato has heroes, hero team wins. Momo and Kaminari has villains versus Tsu and Siro has heroes, villain team wins. Mina and Ida has villains versus Toru and Kirishima has heroes, villain team wins. Shoji and Koda has villains versus Kokyami has the hero team wins. Done. Now onto the rest of the week. The next day, Aizawa walked into homeroom with every student in their seats. He started the class. Okay, I reviewed all your fights and have some feedback. First, Bakugo and Todoroki, you have to learn how to work with others and not think you can handle anything just because your quirks are strong, he said. Tsuch, was all Bakugo replied with, while Todoroki nodded. Kaminari, stop going over your limit in a single attack. If that was a real fight you would have been killed, he scolded. Yes, sir, Kaminari replied. Now on to more concerning matters. You need a class president. When the words left Aizawa's mouth, everyone began to try and volunteer for it. Ida then came up with the idea to hold a vote, and after a few minutes the votes were cast. Momo had one class president while Ida was the vice president. Once everything was settled, classes continued all the same until lunch. So, Ida, I got to ask, are you related to Ingenium? Izuku asked. He is my older brother and one of the reasons I decided to become a hero, he explained. What about you guys? Why do you want to be a hero? Ida asked. I always looked up to heroes and wanted to help as many people as I can, Izuku answered. I love fighting and want to prove my strength to the world by becoming number one, Bakugo answered. Well, my reason is dash. Uraraka started but was interrupted by the school's alarm. Everyone began to panic as they rushed to the exit, stepping on each other's toes and pushing others into the window. Ida noticed that the press had somehow got past the barrier. He looked around and found Uraraka. He called for her to make him float, and once he used his quirk to get to the exit and began to calm all the students. After everything was done, the students were sent home early while the teachers investigated how the press got into UA. The students returned on Friday ready to see what they were going to do. All of you get changed into your gym clothes or your hero costume. We are going off campus for heroics class, Aizawa said before leaving the room. Everyone ran to the locker room and changed into their hero costumes and made their way to the bus. Ida did his best to try and organize where everyone sit, but the bus layout prevented that. During the ride, people were talking when Tsu decided to ask Midoriya a question. Hey Midoriya, I have to ask, how did you discover some of your forms? She asked. Through trial and error. Luckily my digestive system can handle anything, he answered. You should have seen the time we went downtown to look for things to test his quirk with, Bakugo said with a smirk. We do not talk about that ever, Midoriya said, glaring at him. Tell me what happened, Kaminari said. When we were looking around for random items when some guy saw us and asked what we were doing, when we told him, he went into his house and grabbed a whip for us to use. It did work, and after it did, the guy tried to buy him for the rest of the night, Bakugo explained. Izuku buried his head into his hands. Luckily for him, the class has arrived at their destination. Aizawa explained how the USJ was made to help train up incoming heroes for rescue operations. As they made their way inside, they were greeted by Pro Hero 13, who began explaining how while quirks are useful, they can just as easily kill. Before the lecture could begin, a mist began to form in the middle of the building. Sensei, is this a part of the lesson? Asked Jair. Everyone get back, those are real villains, Aizawa said, getting ready to fight. Hey everyone, I just wanted to say have a happy Thanksgiving and I hope you all are ready for Christmas. Also, I still plan to write that Digimon X MHA crossover, but I kind of want to draw the armors before I start, so if someone can tell me how I can put an image in a chapter 1 would very much appreciate it, and thank you in advance. Chapter text. The students stepped back and were going to run, only to be cut off by some mist man who teleported behind them. Greetings, we are the League of Villains. My name is Kurogyri and we are here to kill All Might, the villain now known as Kurogyri said. Like hell you will be able to kill All Might, Bakugo yelled, preparing to attack. Get away kids, leave this guy to me. Eraserhead, deal with the villains down there, 13 said as they activated their quirk in an attempt to stop Kurogyri. Foolish attempt. Guess I will have to deal with you, Kurogyri said as he opened a portal on both sides of 13 in an attempt to incapacitate them. The key word being attempt, because Midoriya jumped behind 13 and inhaled, stopping black hole from hurting. Kurogyri's eyes widened, but he didn't have time to react to an explosive strike that was followed by a hardened punch, but quickly recovered. Seems the next generation of heroes are very skilled, but let's see how you handle being scattered, Kurogyri said before opening portals scattering the students. Shipwreck zone. When Midoriya opened his eyes, he saw he was falling towards a bunch of villains in the water. He quickly inhaled and inflated his body and began to float to the boat where he saw Tsuyu by herself. As he landed, he made sure she had no injuries as they looked over the edge of the boat. So, what do you think we should do? Tsu asked. Well, I can float us to the entrance probably. At least the villains don't know our quirk, Midoriya said. What makes you so certain about that? Tsu asked. Well, they sent you here instead of the fire zone, so either they think that they could take us on with large numbers, but that is out because they would have attacked by now, or they only knew about this trip, he explained. That makes sense. If you can get us halfway to the entrance, I can jump off you and drag you to the entrance with me, Tsu said, and with that the duo put their plan into action. At the entrance a few minutes ago, the students were terrified. Most of their classmates were warped somewhere and could be hurt or even worse. Uraraka looked around trying to think of something while 13 tried to land a punch on Kurogyri. Ida, you need to get to outside and get to UA and fast, Uraraka said. I can't just leave you guys, Ida argued. They came here for All Might and will kill us. We need more heroes here and you are the fastest person in class, she argued. She's right, you are our only hope now. While 13 distracts the villain, run as fast as you can, Shoji said. Ida listened to his classmates and when the chance before taking off with his quirk while praying that his friends would be okay. KrazyGames was getting annoyed that one of the students managed to get out and warped to Shigaraki and let him know. If you weren't our escape route I would kill you, but I guess we better prepare. Nomu, deal with Eraserhead, Shigaraki said. The Nomu grabbed Eraserhead's arm before slamming him into the ground. The Nomu repeatedly slammed his head into the ground, shocking the students who were horrified. 13 had told them not to interfere, but they couldn't just do nothing. Uraraka, make me float, and when I get close to the ground release, and Zero, throw me at the thing holding Aizawa-sensei, Midoriya said. Are you insane? That thing is said to be able to take on all might, Mina said. My body has elastic properties, so it will have a hard time hurting me. Besides, I got a plan, even if I am scared to try it, Midoriya said. Zero and Uraraka looked at each other before nodding and following the plan. As he got close to the beast, he felt his weight return to him. He pulled his fist back and with all his might threw a punch with a battle cry. Pyo! He yelled. Shigaraki couldn't help but laugh. Foolish hero, there is no way you dash. Before he could finish his sentence, the punch hit the Nomu and sent it flying into the mountain behind them. What the hell, you cheater! Shigaraki screamed. What are you doing, problem child? Aizawa asked before Tsu landed next to him and picked him up. Nomu, kill that pink boy and make it painful, Shigaraki screamed. With that, the Nomu launched forward and punched Izuku into some villains. With a quick flip, Izuku inhaled a giant hammer one of the villains had and transformed. He had a white bandana wrapped around his head and loose dark blue pants. In his hand was a giant wooden hammer. The Nomu was not prepared, as before he could punch Izuku, Izuku swung the hammer and sent the monster into the ceiling. A group of villains tried to jump him only to be met with a hammer. Unfortunately, the Nomu landed and smashed Izuku into the side and sent him flying into the fountain, breaking his transformation. Izuku realized that this thing was too dangerous to be left alive, so he let the Nomu get close to him before inhaling with all his might. The villains were shocked, but more were scared when he swallowed the Nomu. Izuku was engulfed as the Nomu shot out of the smoke. When the smoke cleared, Izuku was there, but his entire outfit has changed. He had a full body suit that looked like the Nomu's skin, a similar pair of pants, he had no shoes, and a strange hat that looked to the Nomu's mouth at the base, but the rest looked like a brain. Izuku looked at his body and was shocked. He had no idea what he could do. His plan was to swallow the Nomu so the villains would surrender. You are very annoying, Nomu, kill this brat not and then kill his classmates, Shigaraki screamed in anger. The Nomu rushed at Izuku but was stopped as Izuku punched him in the gut. Before the Nomu went flying, he slammed his fist into Izuku's back, slamming him into the ground. Izuku noticed that the hit didn't do much but didn't have much time to think as the fight had just begun. Meanwhile at UA, Nedzu had just finished lecturing All Might about pacing himself as he now has teaching responsibilities. Both were going to finish their tea before going back to work when Ida busted through the door. There are villains at the USJ, they say they are. After All Might, he said, letting himself catch his breath. Nedzu immediately cancelled all classes and told the teachers to head to the USJ as it was being attacked. The teachers rushed to their vehicles and all of them shared the same thought. If anyone is hurt, those villains will regret ever even planning attacking UA. Hello everyone, first I hope you enjoyed your holidays and would like to apologize for no updates, but on Christmas Eve my sister's cat got in my room and sprayed my laptop, causing it to break. It won't turn on, and according to the repair shop no one will fix it because it was spayed by a cat. I am typing this on my Xbox One because my phone broke and no longer charges. I am hopefully going to be able to get a replacement in the next few months, but make no promises. When I do get a replacement laptop I will update all my stories chapter text. Izuku and the Nomu threw punches as fast as they could. Luckily Izuku being smaller made it easier for him to dodge. After 10 minutes of the fight, Izuku noticed the Nomu seemed to be taking more damage than it should and smirked, realizing he could beat this thing. Meanwhile, KrazyGames and Shigaraki watched, waiting for the Nomu to kill the kid. Nomu, kill that brat already and then kill all the students, Shigaraki screamed. That won't happen because this is over, Izuku yelled back. With that he slid between the Nomu's legs and as the best turned around he threw a uppercut with all his might straight into its gut. To everyone's surprise, the Nomu shot through the ceiling, creating a shockwave causing the villains to panic. "That kid is a monster, we need to get out of here, you cheater," and more. Shigaraki was about to run and kill Izuku only for the doors to burst open and the teachers ran in. "There is no need to fear because we are here," All Might said. Shigaraki growled, ready to fight till the end, but was stopped by Kurogiri, who said they needed to leave. Before he stepped into the portal, he swore to kill All Might and the cheater. The rest of the villains began to panic. There was no way they could take on UA, so the villains in the plaza surrendered right away. It took almost 3 hours for the teachers to round up every villain and load them into police cruisers. Meanwhile, Recovery Girl checked on all of the students for injuries. Ojiro had multiple burns, Kaminari fried his brain, Koda had some stab wounds on his arms, and Jiru had a broken leg. Once the students were healed, they gave the police their statements on what happened. Izuku had let Katsuki repeatedly hit him until his transformation broke and he was back to normal. After everything was settled, they were all sent home for the next few days. 3 days later, all of Class 1A sat in their classroom talking amongst themselves. "Who do you think will teach us till Aizawa-sensei recovers?" Uraraka asked. "Maybe Present Mike," Kaminari suggested. Before they could continue, the bell rang, so they got into their seats as the door opened and in walked a mummified Aizawa. "Aizawa-sensei, you should be resting," Nida said. "I am fine, however your fight is far from over," he said, scaring his students. "The sports festival is in 2 weeks," he finished. "Are you sure the sports festival is a good idea after the USJ incident?" Kaminari asked. "The sports festival is an event that is more popular than the Olympics, so it would be near impossible to cancel it," Jiru said. "She's right, but we will increase security. Besides, the sport festival is also how you will get internship offers so you can get experience in the field," Aizawa explained before starting class. For the most part, the classes were all the same. That was until they were dismissed for lunch, only for the door to be crowded. "What's going on?" Uraraka asked. "They're checking out the competition," Bakugo growled. "We heard all about what happened. Don't think just because you took on a few pathetic villains that you are better than us," a blonde guy said. "You make it sound like we wanted to get attacked," Shoji said. "I am not saying that at all," the blonde guy said with a smirk. Before a fight could break out, a red-skinned girl walked up. "On behalf of all of the general education classes, this is a challenge. People who didn't make it into the hero course were put in the general education classes, however they can be moved into the hero course if they do well enough in the sports festival, so watch you back." With that, she left with her class. The next day, all of Class 1A were at Gym Beta. Some were doing simple exercises while Izuku and his friends were helping him with his quirk. "Alright, so now I know if I eat someone I get a copy of their clothes and quirk, but I would like to test it some more," Izuku explained. "No problem, Midoriya, now let's begin. Any volunteers?" Kirishima asked. "I will go first," Uraraka said. "Alright, here goes," Izuku said. With that, he inhaled while Uraraka jumped towards him. In a single gulp, he absorbed her and began to transform. To everyone's shock, instead of get her quirk and clothes, he became a pink-green UFO. Uraraka landed on the ground and looked up in surprise. "Ah, you look so cute. I wonder if you can carry someone," Mina squealed. "Let's find out." "Okay, Round Cheeks, see if he can lift you," Bakugo said. Izuku flew down, letting out a series of beeps while Uraraka sat on him before giving him to okay to fly. He began to fly around like it was nothing. "I got to say, I didn't think you two were this bold," Mina said. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I mean having Izuku not only eat you in front of the class but then mounting him in front of everyone, so daring," Mina said with a smirk, causing the two in question to blush while the others laughed. Izuku began to beep at Mina very quickly when suddenly a laser shot from him and hit the ground right in front of her. Everyone's eyes widened before looking at the two, who were in shock. "Okay, I get it, I won't make any more innuendos about your relationship anymore," Mina said, using Kirishima as a shield. Izuku landed and let Uraraka get off of him before being hit by an explosion from Kachin, turning him back to normal. "Sorry, Mina, I never seen that form, so I didn't expect to be able to shoot lasers," Izuku apologized. "Okay, so it seems your transformation depends on whether or not a certain form is related to the quirk of the person you eat," Ida said. "It seems like it not. I should practice what Aizawa suggested," he said. I forgot you can't transform back on your own, Kaminari said. Well, the rest of us should start training or we will fall behind, Shiro said. With the others agreeing, they all began their training for the sport festival. Izuku repeatedly transformed and would try to transform. Mina would dance around while using her quirk to create some new attacks. Kirishima fought Bakugu sparred using their quirks. Shiro and Kaminari decided to focus on ideas for support equipment that could help Kaminari stop from overloading his brain. Fast forward 1 week and 4 days. Has everyone packed their stuff to go home? Izuku decided to enact his plan. Hey Uraraka, I was wondering, do you have any plans this Saturday? He asked. Not really, why? She asked. Well, I was wondering if you wanted to go on a date with me, he stuttered out. Why, yes, I would love to, she answered while blushing. Great, I will text you so we can plan it. With that he walked away. Izuku was questioned by his parents when about what Uraraka said. Once he told them everything, he entered her phone number and immediately panicked. He didn't think he would get this far. Meanwhile, with Uraraka, she is completely red and is floating on the ceiling while her parents chuckle. Back to Midoriya. Izuku had asked his dad what to do, earning a smile from the man. I can't tell you what to do for a date, but why not wait till after internships? There is a lot coming up after all, he answered. Thanks, Dad, the pink boy said, giving his father a hug. He immediately darted to his room and began to text his date. Poyo, hey Uraraka. Poyo, my father suggested we wait till after internships before going on a date so we are not distracted during the sports festival. What do you think? Space. Your dad brings up a good point. How about the Saturday after internships ends? Poyo, sounds good to me. Both of them let out a sigh of relief. This gave both of them time to calm their nerves. The 2 days were the same as any other normal day. The day before the sports festival was just them watching movies during all their classes as a way to help them de-stress. It was the day of the sports festival, and to say they were nervous. They were in the locker room waiting to be called when Todoroki approached Midoriya. Midoriya, objectively, I am stronger than you, at the very least physically. I plan to beat you, he said. Ah, you think you're physically stronger than him? Dude, you haven't seen his strength outside of his transformations, Bakugu said. What is that supposed to mean? Todoroki said, glaring at Bakugu. Let me tell you, he could destroy this entire arena with a single punch if he didn't hold back, Bakugu said. Are you saying Midoriya bro is that strong? Kirishima said, sounding surprised. Yeah, maybe even more. I heard one of his doctors believes if he used every bit of his strength, he could even destroy the planet, but they have no way to test it, Bakugu said, causing his classmates' eyes to widen in shock. While everyone was distracted, no one noticed the boy in question remove his AirPods and put them away. He turned ready to walk out and noticed his class surrounding Bakugu. Before he could question what happened, they were called to the field. When they stepped out, they looked over the crowd and quickly grew nervous. Now here to judge the sports festival is the 18-plus hero Midnight. Present Mike has the female hero stepped onto the stage. Now here for the student pledge Izuku. Midoriya, has she said it? Izuku made his way to the mic. First, I would like to thank everyone for attending. Second, I want everyone to give it your all. Remember to show good sportsmanship and go beyond. Plus ultra. Now for the first event we have an obstacle race, Midnight said while explaining the rules for the race. Everyone lined up at the starting line, and once the race began, everyone ran through the tunnel, blocking most people. Todoroki froze the ground, making it even more difficult to get past the tunnel. A few students were able to quickly adapt and escape. As students quickly got out of the tunnel, all the students, it wasn't long before they reached the first event, which became obvious when Mineta was smashed to the side by a zero-pointer. Todoroki froze the robot while it was off balance, causing it to crash. While the other classes panicked, the hero course students continued, knowing that the only ones who were buried were fine. Aki Hinata was in the general education course, and she knew it, so when she saw the last bird she needed for her bird club, she quickly took her phone out and got a picture. Before she could put her phone away, a strong wind pulled the bird to a hero course student who ate it whole and transformed, giving him robes, a halo and wings like an angel, along with a bow before he flew away, leaving a horrified Aki just standing there. Good thing that bird was in that tree, he thought to himself as he flew over the pit and began to catch up to Bakugu and Todoroki. With Bakugu and Todoroki. To say that Bakugu was said would be an understatement. Icy Hot had the nerve to declare war against that gumball and ignored everyone else. The instant he caught up to Todoroki, he fired a barrage of explosions at him. Looking down on me and the others was a big mistake. With that, the two slowed down, launching attack after attack, missing the one flying right past them. And Izuku Midoriya has taken the lead, Mike announced. Immediately the two stopped fighting and began to run after Midoriya. Bakugo launched forward and tried to his Midoriya, only for the boy to shoot an arrow, knocking him back as he flew into the field. And in first place Izuku Midoriya, quickly followed by Todoroki in second and Bakugo in third, present Mike said. As more and more students crossed the finish line, the crowd watched in anticipation. When the last person crossed the finish line, Midnight called for everyone's attention. The first 42 will remain for the second round, which will be a cavalry battle, she said. Everyone will be given a certain point value based on what place they came in. Teams will consist of 3 or 4 people, and a team's value is the total of combined headbands from each player. The rider can never touch the ground, and if you have someone from the support department, then the entire team can use the gear they made. Whoever came in 42nd will have a point value of 5, and the points will increase by 5 the higher you placed. However, first place will have a headband worth 10 million points, she said. Izuku immediately felt everyone looking at him. He really hadn't been paying the most attention, but when he heard he would be worth 10 million points, he chuckled. I'm in danger. As they were told to make teams, he noticed no one wanted to be on his team. Then thankfully Uraraka ran up to him. Hey Aiza, let's work together, she said. Thank you Chaco, he said as an insane amount of tears poured from his eyes. Hey 10 million. The two turned their heads as a girl with pink hair and strange goggles approached them. Hello, do you want to be on my team? He asked. Yep, the name's Mei Hatsum. I want to show off my babies to the world, Mei said. The two Hero Corps students could swear they heard Mina say that he needs to keep her babies in her shirt. Mei then began to show the two her inventions and what inspired them. Izuku began to fangirl over the hero-inspired gear, while Uraraka noticed Tokoyami standing by himself. Hey, we should see if Tokoyami would join us, she suggested. Great idea, Chaco, Izuku said as he talked to Tokoyami. After 10 minutes, all teams were formed and the point values determined. As soon as Midnight said begin, nearly every team charged at them for the 10 million. The only one to not charge was Team Bakugo, who knew better. Team Izuku responded by taking flight and avoiding the other teams. Unfortunately, the plan only worked twice before Mineta managed to stick one of the boots. After a small struggle, the boot broke and they were able to avoid the other teams. Then an ice wall cut their path off as Team Todoroki ran at them. As Todoroki's team launched at him, Izuku punched the large ice wall and destroyed the entire thing, cracked into pieces. The audience was shocked at that strength. Team Midoriya charged at Team Todoroki, but just as Izuku reached for Team Todoroki's headband, fire started to appear, surprising, which gave both teams a chance to put some distance between them. Before either team could move, the sound of the timer going off ending the event. Alright listeners, the second event is over, and in first place we have Team Midoriya. In second place we have Team Bakugo, in third place we have Team Todoroki, and in fourth place we have Team Shinso, who has come out of nowhere. We will have an hour break so the finalists can eat, and don't think just because you are out that we forgot about you, because we have some games planned for everyone. Present Mike announced. The students began making their way to the cafeteria to eat. Eventually Midoriya was stopped by Todoroki. Midoriya, can I speak to you in private? Todoroki asked. Are you the result of a Quirk marriage or some weird secret love child of All Might and an Eldritch God? Asked Todoroki. Nope, I just got real lucky with my Quirk, and my dad has a fire-breathing Quirk, he answered. I see, Todoroki said. Are you the child of a Quirk arranged marriage? Izuku asked. I am. My father bought my mother in order to create a child to surpass All Might, someone with both fire and ice. He forced her to have multiple children and drove her crazy. One day she snapped and poured boiling water over my left eye, he said. Izuku had no idea how to react to what he just learned, yet Endeavor seemed like an a-hole but to go that far, and he bet the Hero Commission knew this. He loved a lot about heroes, but he was not blind to the bad things. He needed to help the Todoroki family and get rid of Endeavor as soon as possible. It is because of everything he has done that I refuse to use his fire, Todoroki said. I can understand why you hate your father, and what your mother did was effed up. But holding yourself back will get you and the people you're trying to protect killed, Izuku said. I don't need his fire to win and I will refuse to use it, Todoroki said before walking away. Izuku let out a sigh before making his way to the cafeteria and grabbing a tray full of pizza. As he ate, he began to think of how to help Todoroki. Maybe he could intimidate Endeavor and tell Nezu. 1 hour later, the students stood around while Midnight began telling them all how the last event works. Once the rules were explained, Ojiro and a boy from 1B that Izuku didn't recognize both said they wished to withdraw from the tournament. But why Guy? Zero asked. I don't remember anything from the second event, it is all foggy and I would rather have earned my place through my own effort, Ojiro said with the other boy agreeing with him. If you are sure then 2 people from the 5th place team will take your place, Midnight said. Shiozaki and Tetsu were moved into the tournament and with that the fights were decided. The first match was Siro against Aizawa's son. As Izuku looked for his name and saw he was against Todoroki in the 3rd round. He made his way to the stand and saw Ojiro talking to Siro. He was sure it was about Shinso's quirk. Once Siro and Shinso entered the arena, Midnight explained the different ways to move forward in the tournament. With that she started the match, which started with Shinso insulting Ojiro and pissing off Siro, who told him to shut up. With that Shinso ordered Siro to walk out of the arena. Once Siro walked out, Shinso was declared the winner. Siro snapped out of it. The second match was Kirishima versus Tetsu. Izuku made his way to the waiting room since this was going to take a while, so he figured he could use the time to think. Which turned out to be true as the 2 fighters repeatedly mimicked each other until both were knocked out. As Izuku made his way to the arena, he was stopped by Endeavor. Don't hold back, Shoto needs to realize that my fire will make him the stronger, the pro said. You are a complete idiot, Izuku said. Excuse me, Endeavor said, glaring at the boy. Your son's fire is his own, not yours, and even if he becomes the #1 hero it will be because of himself, not you, Izuku said. I trained that boy for years, the only reason he is here is because of me, Endeavor said. No, you abused him, his siblings and your wife. Your days are numbered and I will save your son and the others, Izuku said as he began walking away. Please, you look like you can barely lift 50 pounds, the pro said. Watch the match, I will use more strength than I used before. With that Izuku walked into the arena looking directly at Todoroki. As soon as Midnight began the match, Todoroki created a huge glacier trying to end the match in one move. Unfortunately, Izuku inhaled the entire thing and transformed into Ice Izuku. His skin became a light blue with a crown of ice on his head. He wore a pair of thick sweatpants and a heavy winter coat. You need to use your fire, Izuku said as he unleashed a blizzard on his own. Did my father put you up to this? The peppermint boy asked with a glare. It as I told you before, if you hold back then you won't be able to dash, Izuku said, only for another glacier overcame him. Izuku broke a large chunk of the glacier before stepping out unfazed. First off, ride, and second, are you really planning on going through the rest of your life only using half your power? Izuku asked. I don't need his fire, Todoroki said angrily. It is your fire, but if you still refuse it then do the world a favor and transfer to the General Education Department, Izuku said. Excuse me, Todoroki said. A hero needs to put everything they got into their efforts. If you think you can only use your ice and be a hero, you're wrong. What are you going to do if you become a hero and people are frozen in a glacier? Are you going to let them die? Izuku asked. Todoroki responded by sending another glacier, saying something along the line that half his power is more than enough, sure that this time he got his opponent. Before he could react, Izuku shot into the air and aimed a punch at the center of the arena. He put everything into the punch. As soon as it connected, the entire stadium shook violently. A large crevice appeared, nearly splitting the stadium in two. The audience and everyone watching jaw dropped in shock and fear. Todoroki had jumped to the side and began to felt fear as he heard footsteps. When he looked, he saw Izuku walking up to him. In Todoroki's fear, he exploded into flames. This didn't stop Izuku, who walked right up to his opponent. It's your power you need to use both to be strong enough to save you mom and your siblings, Izuku said. You're right, I let my hatred for that man control me, but not anymore. Thank you, Todoroki said. No problem, now then let's fight for real, Izuku said with a smile. I surrender, Todoroki yelled in fear. The winner is Midoriya. Now we will take a break to fix everything before moving on to the next round, Midnight said. With that, the two heroes in training walked back to their class while Endeavor was panicking. This boy had so much power he could be number one easy, but it gave him an idea. He just had to do some research and then he could enact the plan he just hatched. Once the arena was repaired thanks to Cementos, the next two fighter entered the arena. Momo stared at Tokoyami with caution, trying to think of a plan. Midnight yelled for them to begin and immediately Dark Shadow was on her. The shield she made was strong enough to block his claws. The sentient Quirk did not let up on her. The attacks slowly pushed her back till she was out of bounds. Momo was clearly upset that she lost so easily. Once those two left the arena, Midnight called for the next two fighter, which was Ida and Hatsum. Young Ida Hero Corps students are not allowed to use support gear, Midnight said. It's okay, I gave him the gear for the fight, May explained. Okay then, Midnight said with some concern. Yes, Hatsum-san asked me to wear these for some reason, Ida said. May, the embarrassment you are about to feel go away quickly. Begin, Midnight said. Ida quickly launched at May while she began making a speech about the gear she had given him. She kept dodging while explaining what all the gears function and how they can help any hero. After about 30 minutes of advertising, May just surrendered and walked out of the arena. In the stands, most of Class 1A felt bad for Ida. He wanted to show the world what he could do, only to be used as a walking ad. The key word in the last sentence is most of Class 1A. Haha, Bakugo rolled in the ground laughing at Ida's humiliation. Is he going to be okay? Mina asked. Yeah, Ida will get over the embarrassment quickly, and as for Bakugo, he likes public humiliation. Please don't K&K shame him, Izuku said before being punched in the gut by Bakugo. The two were about to fight but were stopped by Midnight telling Kaminari and Shizuki to fight. To say it was a one-sided fight would be like saying Mina is slightly pink. It would be a major understatement. Kaminari sent all his bolts out, frying his brain, while Shizuki blocked it with her vines while also grabbing the brain-dead boy. It was now the last of the first round fights. The match was between Bakugo and Uraraka. Once they began, Uraraka charged straight at the explosive boy in an attempt to use her quirk. This was met with an explosion. This process continued with each explosion getting stronger. To say the audience was not happy was an understatement. Various heroes began to yell at Bakugo about how he should have ended the fight sooner and that he should hold back because Uraraka is a girl. Whoever started this, turn your hero license and find a different career. Bakugo not holding back shows he respects Uraraka as an equal and that he respects her skills and abilities. As for those who said he should hold back because Uraraka is a girl, you are the epitome of stupidity. Heroes have to be willing to use their full power against an opponent no matter what gender they are. This is basic heroics, and if you can't figure that out after years of work, then quit and get a different job, Aizawa said, annoyed at the heroes in the audience. The fight was still raging on, with Uraraka aiming for a low blow only to be blasted away. Uraraka put her fingers together and yelled release. Bakugo's eyes widened before looking up and seeing what he could only describe as a meteor shower heading for him. Thinking fast, he aimed both hands to the sky while Uraraka charged at him. He unleashed a massive explosion, clearing the sky and sending Uraraka flying back. He looked at Uraraka hoping she was out wide to see her running at him, only for her to collapse, making him the winner. With Endeavor. If my plan is going to work, I am going to need your help, Endeavor said. I agree that the boy needs to be controlled, but why should the commission help you control him instead of us controlling him ourselves? Asked a male voice. Because I believe I have a better way to control him than what you do, Endeavor said. If you have a way to control him, then why did you say you need our help? A female voice asked. I just need you to make sure nothing illegal gets out, he said. Then what is your plan? A deep male voice said. I just bought out the hospital where the boy's mother works at, so she will be wise to listen to what I say, he explained. And what exactly is his mother going to do? The female voice asked. It's simple, she is going to help me arrange a marriage between him and my daughter Fuyumi, he explained with a smirk. Izuku was not enjoying the tournament so far for a few reasons. The first being that some of the fights were really fast. Like how Shizuki immediately captured Kaminari with little effort, or how Tokoyami quickly knocked Momo out of the arena. He will admit to laughing at Mei and Ida's show, Calling it a fight would not be right. All right, for the start of the second round for the first match we have from General Education Shinso Hitoshi, and from the Hero course we have Kirishima Ejiro. The question is who will win, present mic announced. Hope you boys are ready, now begin, Midnight said. Bring it on, Kirishima said before hardening his arms and charging at his opponent. You are as unmanly as possible, and yo mama's so ugly even All Might wouldn't smash her, Shinso said. What did you say about my aim? Kirishima yelled before his eyes went blank. Walk out of the arena. With that order Shinso had won his match. Izuku walked into the arena across from Tokoyami, who was swearing bullets. Has Izuku got in a fighting stance? Are you both ready? Midnight asked. Izuku said. Can I surrender now? Tokoyami asked. Come on, don't give up, Izuku said. Sorry Midoriya, but your strength and skills show I am not ready to beat you yet, Tokoyami said. If you are sure then I will accept it, Midnight said. Yes, we surrender, Tokoyami said. Alright then, the winner is Izuku Midoriya, Midnight announced. Ah man, I was looking forward to a fight. With that the two left the arena. The next two matches were so boring. All Ida did was push Shiozaki out of the arena, and Bakugo quickly sent Mina flying out of the arena by blasting the ground. Izuku was ready for his next match when he got a call from his mother. Hey mom, he said. Izuku, you need to get home right now, Inko said, clearly scared. What's wrong? Izuku asked. Just get here fast. With that Inko hung up. Izuku ran to find Midnight as fast as he could. As he found her he saw Ida running away from her. Midnight-sensei, I have a family emergency so I have to go, he said. You too, alright, I will make an announcement and I hope everything is okay. With that he ran home. 30 minutes later. Izuku called as he walked in and saw Endeavor, a woman with red and white hair, a guy in a suit sitting across from his mother. What is going on? He asked, glaring at Endeavor. Hello Mr. Midoriya, my name is Tanaka Haru and on behalf of the Todoroki family we are here to arrange an agreement, the man now named Tanaka said. What kind of arrangement? Izuku asked. We wish to arrange a marriage between you and Fuyumi here, Tanaka said. Sorry, but I am already in a relationship, Izuku said. I am afraid you are not in a position to refuse. You see, the hospital your mom works at is owned by Endeavor and it would be a shame if she were to lose her job and have a horrendous reference, Tanaka said with a smirk. They could see Izuku shaking and thought he was ready to cave, but then they heard it, he wasn't afraid, he was laughing. Haha, do you honestly think you are in a position to make demands? Izuku asked with a smirk. How dare you dash? Tanaka said, only for Izuku to cut him off. My father has a lie detector quirk and is friends with All Might. We can easily bring this to court, but your biggest mistake was trying to set this up in the first place, Izuku said with a sweet smile. What do you mean? Tanaka asked. He has nothing, he is just acting tough, Endeavor said. Izuku then began to inhale, causing the others to panic. Fuyumi pushed her father toward Izuku, who quickly ate him but didn't swallow. Tell me, Tanaka, what do you see left of Endeavor? He asked. I don't must see anything, he answered. Izuku shot Endeavor into the wall and glared at the hero. Exactly, if I wanted to I could eat both you and Endeavor and there would be no evidence. There is no way no one knows you are here, so it would look like you two went missing, Izuku said. Are you threatening a pro-hero boy? Endeavor asked. No, Endeavor, this is a vow. If you threaten anyone I care about or try and hurt anyone in your family I will kill you, he said. You got a lot of nerves, boy, Endeavor said. Well, what are you going to do? Tell the police where my father can tell when you lie? Tell the press that you tried to threaten a family for an illegal quirk marriage? Or maybe go to the Hero Commission to try and force it? Izuku asked with a smirk. Endeavor paled. The kid was right about the police not being an option and he had no evidence to give to the press. He has no choice but to go to the Hero Commission. Let me ask you, Endeavor, what could the Hero Commission even do? Izuku asked. They can ban you from every hero school, they can make you and your entire family suffer, Endeavor said. Yes they could, but that would be a big mistake, Izuku said. And why is that? Endeavor asked. They would have to state a reason publicly for me to be banned, and after they make that false statement, well, since my life would be ruined I would have no choice but to become a villain, Izuku said. Excuse me, Endeavor said. If I can't be a hero, then I will become a villain, and what do you think the public will do? Let me tell you, they would blame the Hero Commission for all the lives lost in my rampage. Then when Nezu investigates their files, they will find all of their crimes along with all of your, Izuku said as Endeavor grew paler with each word. The world would be in pure chaos and it would all fall to you and the current Hero Commission. I am sure that you all would be put to death if not locked away for life, and when you all are in Tartarus, do you know what I will do? Izuku asked nicely. What will you do? Endeavor asked, still trying to act tough. I will turn myself in, and when I get sent to Tartarus, I will make sure you suffer for the pain you caused my family and the pain you put your family through, Izuku said with a smile. Of course, that's only if something happens to our home security system. With those words, Endeavor realized he had lost. Now tell me why I shouldn't release this tape to the press? Izuku asked. It would cause chaos. People look up to heroes like me, and if they lost that faith, then riots would break out, Endeavor said. That is why heroes in training will have to restore their faith in heroes. Now you and Tanaka can leave, Fuyumi can stay. With that, Tanaka ran out with Endeavor right behind him. Mom called Dad, we are about to destroy a walking dumpster fire, Izuku said. Your son is terrifying. Yes. Midoriya, Fuyumi said. Yep, he gets that from me, Inko said with a smile. It's time for the final round. First we have the star of Gen ED Shinso Hitoshi, and then comes the walking bomb of the hero course Bakugo Katsuki, Mike yelled as the crowd roared with excitement. Are you two ready? Midnight asked. Yes ma'am, you bet, the two fighters said. Alright, begin. Almost immediately Bakugo shot toward Shinso. Your mama's so stupid, she winsome mentioned you, she asked. I'm a what? Shinso said, trying to anger his opponent. To his surprise, the blonde didn't yell at him. Instead, he got punched in the face. He barely got out of the way of an explosion and took the chance and punched Bakugo in the face. Bakugo spun around and blasted Shinso across the arena. Shinso quickly recovered and saw his opponent rushed at him. Shinso waited till Bakugo got close to him before lunging at him. He moved to pin him only for Bakugo to blast the ground, sending both into the air. Then he grabbed Shinso and threw him out of the arena. And there you have it, everyone. The winner of the first-year sports festival is Bakugo Katsuki of Class 1, Mike said while the crowd cheered. Meanwhile, at the Todoroki residence, Endeavor paced around his room trying to think of his next plan to get his hands on the Midoriya boy, when suddenly he heard a door get broken down. He ran towards the sound and saw a SWAT team and the Midoriya boy. What is the meaning of this? Endeavor asked. I told you we had cameras at High House. Did you think I wouldn't file a police report? Izuku said with a smirk. I am the number 2 hero, you can't arrest me, he said. Yeah, and my dad is best friends with All Might, and don't worry, you won't be alone. Has Nezu hacked the Hero Commission and is having them arrested and the crimes they covered up exposed, Izuku said. You think you can stop me? I can escape since I now know what you can do. With that, Endeavor created a wall of fire between him and then ran away from them. As he entered the backyard, he was met with more officers and a second Midoriya boy. Did you think you could escape me or the police? Izuku asked. How, you were just back there? Endeavor asked. One of the officers has a shape-shifting quirk. Now I told you I would show you more power than I have ever used before. Now imagine what that power can do to a person, Izuku said while Endeavor was trapped. So I can cuff you now and you keep your bones, or you resist and I put you in the hospital, Izuku said. Endeavor held his hands up for Izuku to cuff. As soon both his hands were the Izuku who cuffed him burst into sparkles, revealing a police officer. Endeavor's eyes widened in surprise as the officers from before walked up and escorted him to the cop car. As Izuku congratulated the officers, he got a call from Bakugo, who started to yell at him for missing the award ceremony. Time skip. After a few days off so they could rest, Aizawa walked in with Shinso. Everyone. As you know, this is Shinso Hitoshi, and starting today he will be your classmate. Now as you know, the sports festival is to demonstrate your skills to get internship offers, and here is the results. Aizawa pressed a button and the results were displayed. While Midori bro has millions of offers, Kirishima said. Wait, why didn't Shinso get any? He got second place? Kaminaro asked. It's because no one knew I planned to transfer into the hero course, so they weren't sure if they could send offers to me. Plus, since I am behind, Nezu figured it would be better to train here instead of a full internship, Shinso explained. Now before you decide who you will be interning under, you need to decide your code names and they need to be good dash, Aizawa said. Or else there will be hell to pay, Midnight said. Your code names need to reflect the kind of hero you want to be. They can be changed later, but the more popular you are the harder it is, and you will present them and we will decide if they work, Midnight said before passing out the boards. They all have the same hero names except Midoriya and Shinso, so I am going to skip to them. Midoriya, Shinso, have you two thought of your hero names? Midnight asked. Yeah, I think I got mine. I will be the taunting hero mind game, Shinso said. That is a great name. What about you, Midoriya? Midnight said. Yeah, I will be the Star Warrior Kirby. I was originally going to call myself Poyo Power, but that is copyrighted by some soda company, Midoriya explained. Approved. Now then go through all your offers and have them in by the end of the week. With that, Midnight left. Everyone was shaking with anticipation, waiting for Aizawa to give them the go-ahead to head to their internships. They all began to discuss who they were interning with and what they hoped to learn. So, Todoroki, where did you decide to go for your internship? Uraraka asked. I went with Burnin. I figured she worked with my father, so she may be able to help me control my fire, he answered. That's a good idea. I am interning with Gunhead, she said. You weren't kidding when you said you wanted to work on your hand-to-hand combat, Midoriya said. Nope, I figure it would be good for me to learn to defend myself just in case, she said. I am going to edge shot for mine, Midoriya said. That's so cool. What do you hope to learn from him? Mina asked as she approached the group. I figure he could help me master different weapons since my transformations may use them, he explained as Aizawa called for their attention. Alright, there are some rules you must follow. 1. No wearing your hero costume outside of patrols at your internship. 2. You are representing UA, so behave. And 3. If you have any problems with your internships, call and we will fix it. Now go and learn Plus Ultra, Aizawa said. Plus Ultra, they all yelled before running off. With Todoroki. As he walked into what was formerly the Endeavor Agency, he was met with Burnin. Hey kid, I am surprised you chose us given we used to work for your dad, she said. I figured it would help to learn how to control my fire, he answered. Alright then, do you have any questions before you begin? She asked. I have to ask, do you know how my father got arrested so fast? He asked. Yeah, when I heard he got arrested I called Nedza because that rat has connections and he told me how he hacked the Midoriya boy home security system, and when he tried to force your sister into an arranged marriage, Nedzu immediately sent the video to the police and started what he called Operation Smokey, which is why everything was able to happen in a few hours, she explained. I guess that makes sense, maybe, he said. Good, now go get change and we will begin, she said. With Izuku. As Izuku arrived, he was told where to go by the front desk worker. When he walked in, all he found was an empty room. He walked in slowly, looking around. That's when his instincts told him to dodge. He quickly back-flipped over a sword and the one wielding the sword. The guy was wearing a dark blue bodysuit with a hood over his head and a matching cape plus a metal mask. Impressive, now draw your sword and face me, the mysterious figure said, throwing a second sword at Izuku. Izuku ate the sword and transformed. The instant he finished transforming, he charged at his opponent. The two matched blow from blow with neither side wavering. After 20 minutes of fighting, the door opened and Edge Shot walked in. Hey, I got the dash, really Meta Knight, Edge Shot said. I wanted to see if I would be wasting time with this, the now named Meta Knight said. Welcome young Midoriya, sorry for not being here sooner, I went to grab some food for the three of us, Edge Shot said. It's fine, but who is he? From what I heard, you don't have any sidekicks? Midoriya asked. He is a childhood friend who was visiting for a week. I asked if he wanted to join me in training my intern and he agreed, he explained. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Meta Knight and my quirk is fabric augmentation, Meta Knight said. Wait, your quirk is fabric augmentation. I thought you could summon swords, Midoriya said. No, I can give special abilities to any fabric as long as I a chunk of my hair in it. My cape axe has a pocket dimension and can become wings, giving me the ability to fly, Meta Knight explained. That's so cool, Izuku said. Now before we truly begin your internship, how about we eat and discuss what you hope to learn, Edge Shot said as the three began to eat. With Ida. I got to say I am surprised you chose me to intern with, Manuel said. My brother has told me about you and had positive thing to say, so I figure it would be nice to meet you, Ida said. Now I'm going to show you how hero agencies handle thing inside the office for the first 2 days and then we will go on a patrol every day after, Manuel said. Understood, Ida said. As Manuel began explaining task hero agencies do to keep running, Ida began to plan his revenge. I just wanted to say I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. I also want to say sorry for the lack of updates. A lot has been going on in my life and has me too busy. I will try updating in January, however I won't update my current stories. I will post 3 new stories that will be one-shots unless people really want more of them. Those stories will be like my other stories and the stories are: Welcome to WHOP Izuku Midoriya. Izuku remains quirkless but becomes an agent of WHOP and works with heroes to stop international crimes. Lucrea Academia. Izuku has a quirk that lets him pull of the moves like the ones from Mucha Lucha as long as he is wearing a luchador mask. A Yu-Gi-Oh! MHA crossover. I don't know how to go about this one, so I want to hear you opinions. Should I make it where Izuku can become Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters and he tries to become a hero? B. Izuku gives up being a hero but learns he has a talent in duel monsters which is just as popular as pro heroes. Or C. Heroes are replaced with pro duelist and Izuku aims to attend the best dueling school. The titles may change, so let me know what you think. Chapter text. Izuku and Bakugo walked behind Meta Knight and Best Jeanist as they patrolled Hosu. They occasionally stopped to greet people and give autographs. While the heroes talked about why they were patrolling Hosu and why it is important to always have backup nearby, Izuku was eating some ice cream while Bakugo listened. Now remember, if you come across a villain, press the buttons we gave you to call us to your location, Best Jeanist. Also no going off just because you hear something strange, Meta Knight added. Why are we even patrolling Hosu instead of the area near your agency? Bakugo asked. The hero killer was last seen here, so the HPSC wants more heroes patrolling the area, Jeanist answered. What if a villain attacks us and backup would take a while? Izuku asked. If that happens, you have my permission to use your quirk in self-defense, Meta Knight said. The group continued their patrol with no issues, which made it very boring. The heroes in training were bored as hell, even the pros were bored. It remained like that all day, but as day turned to night things went from 0 to remember the dash. Before Best Jeanist could finish, an explosion rang out. The group ran to the explosion and saw 3 Nomis emerging. Nomis, so the league is nearby, Izuku said. You two help the civilians get to safety while we deal with the Nomis, Meta Knight said. Fine, got it, the two said as began evacuating everyone they could before they were approached by Manuel. Have you two seen Ida? I think he got separated when the attack happened, Manuel asked. I will fly up and try finding him with your permission to use my quirk, Izuku said. Please do, and if he is in danger, go help and call for backup, he said before helping with the evacuation. As Izuku flew into the air, he saw Ida on the ground with a guy wearing a Voldemort mask standing over him. Bakugo followed him while hitting the backup button. Dynamite, what's wrong? Best Jeanist asked. Kirby went to find Ida and saw someone with a sword and is going to intercept. I will go back him up to give you guys time to get there, Bakugo said. Don't have much of a choice, just run if you can and get anyone injured to a hospital, Best Jeanist said. Got it, he said, using his explosions to get to the fight. Stop right there, extra, he yelled while he and Izuku landed. More fake heroes, oh, we'll deal with you later, Stain said, only for a small explosion to hit his hand, sending the sword into the air, which was pulled towards Izuku as he transformed into Sword Izuku. You brats are really trying to save these fake heroes, he said, pulling out a second sword. I will fight him. You get Ida and Native to the hospital, Izuku said. No way, I plan to beat this punk and you can take them to the hospital, Bakugo said. You're faster than me though, plus I don't think I can be cut, Izuku argued. True, but let's be honest, we can beat him in only a few minutes and then take them to a hospital, Bakugo said. Are you two ignoring me? Stain said with a look of pure anger on his face. Alright, you fight and I will treat their injuries, Izuku said as the two got to work. With Izuku. Okay, Native, is the only injury on your side or is there more? Izuku asked. Just my side, but you three should go. I am the one the hero killer is after, not you three, Native said. We are not going to leave you to die now, save your strength, Izuku said as he got to work. With Bakugo. AP cannon full auto. He called out, firing as many small explosives as he could. Stain dodged as many as he could, and what he couldn't dodge he deflected with his blade before it snapped. After a minute of the Bakugo stopped before speaking. This is your last chance to surrender. Now why would I do that? Stain said. Because you got no knives or spikes left, he said with a cocky grin. Stain then noticed his outfit and throwing knives were destroyed. He knew he couldn't get away, that kid would easily catch him. With nothing left to lose, he charged forward and tried to punch the hero kid. Bakugo quickly propelled himself behind the villain and smashed one of his gauntlets into the killer's side. The fight was over in a few minutes, with Stain being knocked out. They put Quirk nullifying cuffs in him while dragging him behind them with rope while carrying Native and Ida. They were quickly met with their mentors and the police, who were shocked to see that these two beat the hero killer. After putting the two victims down, a Nomu swooped down and grabbed Izuku before flying off. The heroes tried to help him, but before they could, a familiar portal opened, sending Izuku and the Nomu somewhere before closing, leaving everyone shocked. Inko was freaking out. Her son had been kidnapped, and while he was powerful, she was still rude. She sat across from Nezu and the rest of the staff at UA. They were discussing what to do when Best Jeanist and Meta Knight walked in. We have a way to track Midoriya down, Best Jeanist said. How? Inko asked in a heartbeat. My sword, Meta Knight said. Please explain, Nezu said. The material my swords are made of seems to react to Midoriya for unknown reasons. Using this material could send out everyone with some of the material, and it should lead us. I know it is not the best, but it's all we got, Meta Knight said. Ectoplasm, take Meta Knight's swords and search the city, Nezu said. Yes, sir. With that, the heroes split up to find their missing students. Please bring my baby back safe and sound, Inko begged. Don't worry, ma'am, we will get your son back and pay for any therapy he will likely need, Meta Knight said. Thank you, I heard horror stories from my husband, she said. A few hours later, they had found it and were about to break in, with All Might leading the charge. Knock knock, beaches, All Might said as he busted the wall down. Oh, thank God it's the heroes, please take us to jail, a man with burns and piercings all over said. Excuse me? All Might asked. Take me and Toga to jail so we don't have to fight that eldritch monster, the guy explained. He was so cute, but I couldn't cut him. It was like trying to cut mashed potatoes. The girl who they guessed was Toga whined. Who are you? Where is All for One? Where is Midoriya and where is Shigaraki? Aizawa questioned. My name's Dabi. All for One tried to take Midoriya's quirk, but Midoriya ate him. He didn't even take his quirk, Dabi answered. He ate him? Gran Torino asked. Yes, after that Shigaraki sent every Nomu, we had to kill him and other recruits while he fled. He's in the basement, please save us, Dabi begged. Aizawa and Gran Torino took Toga and Dabi to the police while the others went to the basement. What they saw shocked them. Moonfish, Muscular, Spinner, twice, and over 100 Nomus lay defeated while Midoriya slammed another Nomu into the ground. Once he released the Nomu, he saw All Might and a bunch of pro heroes. Hi, Izuku said like he wasn't standing in a room filled with corpses. Young Midoriya, are you okay? All Might asked. Yeah, I'm fine, why do you ask? Izuku asked like nothing was wrong. You're covered in blood, surrounded by corpses, and were kidnapped by a powerful villain, Best Jeanist answered. You mean that potato guy? Honestly, he tasted awful. I thought he would at least taste like potato chips, Izuku said. We need to get him therapy as soon as possible, All Might whispered to Best Jeanist. Agreed, he doesn't even seem fazed by killing people, which concerns me, Best Jeanist whispered back. Can we go? I packed up all the video games and consoles Shigaraki owned and I want to hook them up at the dorms, Izuku said, holding up the tote with everything. With that, the three left, making their way to UA. Once they arrived, Izuku went to the dorms while the pros went to Nezu's office. Oh good, you two have returned, and from what I saw on the cameras you were successful, although I have to ask about the tote, Nezu said as the two pros walked in. Well, Izuku decided since he ate All for One and Shigaraki, he figured the Lav had no use for the games and took them, All Might said. He ate them? Nezu asked. Yep, and slaughtered all the Nomu. When we got there, 2 of the members surrendered and Izuku was surrounded by corpses, Best Jeanist said. That's concerning. Was he okay mentally when you found him? Nezu asked. He seemed fine, like nothing happened, which is concerning, Best Jeanist said. That can't be good. I will have him see Hound Dog as soon as possible, Nedzu said. Where is Midoriya's mother anyway? Best Jeanist asked. She is waiting at the dorms with Meta Knight and Naomasa, Nedzu answered. At the dorms when Izuku arrived. I'm back, Hack, Izuku said, causing everyone's head to turn. Izuku, everyone yelled, running up to him. Are you okay? What happened? Does your mom have a tear quirk because she has flooded the kitchen? The class began asking. I'm fine. They tried taking my quirk, so I ate them and slaughtered their nomus, and no, my mom's quirk is attraction of small objects, he answered. The class just stared at him in shock while Izuku began to set up the consoles he got. His mom and dad, who had fallen asleep to help prevent Inko from flooding the dorms, began to stir. Izuku, the two yelled quickly, engulfing him in a hug. Hey mom, hey dad, Izuku said, hugging them back. We were so worried, Inko said. We're glad you're safe, and Izuku, we have to tell you something, Naomasa said. What is it? Izuku asked. Izuku, I'm Piardini, Inko said, causing Izuku to freeze. I know, and I can't wait to become a big brother, Izuku said. You knew? The couple asked. Remember I walked in when you were making the baby, then I grounded both of you, Izuku said. I was hoping you forgot about that, Inko said. Before the conversation could continue, the doors burst open and in ran a pink-haired girl with strange goggles. I am looking for 10 million, she explained. Hey Mei, what's going on? Izuku asked. Well, Meta Knight let me study the material his sword was made of, and I believe I can use this or to make your transformations even stronger, Mei explained, not noticing everyone going pale. Mei, I can split the planet with a single punch, I could devour cities with ease, and I can't be hurt. Do you really think it's necessary to make my transformations stronger? Izuku asked. Oh, it's not necessary but would be pretty cool, Mei said. Let's do this, was all Izuku said. To the lab, we have babies to make, Mei said, only to be stopped by Inko. Izuku, you just got back, how about you do this in a few days and come home for a bit, Inko suggested. Yeah, that's fair, we will wait a few days before we get to making those babies, Mei, Izuku said while some of his classmates laugh. Be careful, Izuku, I am pretty sure the only one you should be making babies with is Uraraka, Mina joked, causing Uraraka to float. I wouldn't mind making babies with Uraraka, but it might be best to wait till we have a career going, Izuku said, causing Mina to laugh louder. Meanwhile, at an evil secret lair. Finally, all for one is gone now. I can make an army of nomus to take over the work, Dr. Garaki said to himself. Soon not even that pink guy won't be able to stop me, he said, looking at his strongest Nomu. Just a few more months and the devastating destroyer device will be complete, he said with a sly smile. It was the next day and Izuku was making his way to Hound Dog's office. For some reason Nedzu and All Might said he needed it, something about his sanity being damaged. He didn't see it, but if they thought it was for the best, so be it. Ah, good to see young Midoriya. Do you know why you're here? Hound Dog questioned as Izuku sat down. Not really, as far as I know everything is fine, he answered. Well, they are concerned with the fact that you killed 2 people and all the nomus and are not even fazed by that, Hound Dog said. I ate the 2, I didn't kill them, Izuku stated. You say that like it is not the same thing, Hound Dog said, confused. Oh, I guess it is something that never comes up, but my stomach is a pocket dimension. Basically they are alive but prisoners in a never-ending nightmare, Izuku explained cheerfully. There is also that you seem a little too calm about saying things like that, Hound Dog said. Well, what else would you call a void full of random things that I have eaten? He asked. I honestly have no idea how to respond to that, the pro answered. Exactly, besides even I don't know what else is in there. It could be nothing but what I ate, it could be another dimension full of man-eating bugs, or worse, a world where every good TV show is cancelled, leaving them on a cliffhanger, Izuku said, shaking slightly. I see, let me ask you, how long have you had these thoughts? Hound Dog asked, writing something down. Every day since I found out about my stomach. The nightmares have stopped for now, but who knows how long that will last, Izuku said, seemingly lost in his own world. You've had nightmares about this? The pro asked. Constantly, sometime of the dimension getting full and me exploding because of it. Sometimes monsters start crawling out of my mouth and invading this world. Then sometimes it's just me walking in on my mom and dad having Izuku explained. I see. Tell me, how was your childhood? Hound Dog asked. A few hours later at Nedzu's office. All right, Hound Dog, what is the situation with young Midoriya? Nedzu asked. Well, apparently his stomach is a pocket dimension, so Shigaraki and All for One are still alive, Hound Dog explained. Okay, so that explains why he didn't seem fazed by what he did, All Might said. Yes, although he has had nightmares about his stomach and what could possibly be there, Hound Dog explained. That is strange. Do you have any idea how to help him? Asked Nedzu. He needs to open up to someone about the nightmares, but that's about it, Hound Dog said. Is there any other concerns? Nedzu asked. Not really, just try to get him to not eat anyone and we are all set, Hound Dog said. Thank God, we were worried that he may be a sociopath, All Might said. Oh yeah, he is prepared to kill anyone if necessary, but that can be dealt with, Hound Dog said. Thank you, Hound Dog, that will be all. With that said, the counselor left. So, any other concerns about young Midoriya? All Might asked. Just about what Ms. Hatsum planned when she wanted to make him even more powerful, Nedzu explained. Yeah, I was surprised to hear that she found out how to do it, All Might said. As long as he does not step too far, everything will be fine, Nedzu said, letting out a sigh of relief. Mei dragged Izuku all the way to the support lab, talking about the possibilities of what she found. As soon as the two were in her lab area, the mad scientist work, and she quickly grabbed a blueprint and her tools. All right, 10 million now, I wanted to make sure that I perfected this, she said as she led him to a chair with a helmet hanging above it. So how does this work? He asked, sitting down while Mei attached the helmet. It's simple, I upload a blueprint into the computer and send shocks to your brain, changing what the form looks like and can do. If I got everything set up right, who knows how strong your forms can be, she said, typing on the computer. What is the success rate looking like? He asked. 82.4% chance of success, and don't worry, a failure will only cause temporary loss of multiple body parts, she answered without hesitation. I like those odds. So what form did you want to upgrade it? He asked. Well, I only have one blueprint since I wanted to test it first, so I started simple and made an upgrade for your fire ability to turn it into what I call volcano fire form, she explained. That sounds good. So how long do I need to sit in this chair, and do you have any snacks I can eat if it will take a while? He asked. Here is some beef jerky and it will take about an hour, so feel free to take a nap, she said as he ate all of the jerky before going to sleep immediately. Meanwhile, in the teacher's lounge. Here you go, Aizawa, the strongest alcohol I could find, Power Loader said, giving the underground, who looked confused. Thanks, but why did you get me these? Aizawa asked, confused by the gift. Well, remember how I told you I had a mad scientist in my class? Power Loader asked. I recall, Aizawa answered. And you remember how you prayed young Midoriya would master control of his strength enough that there is no risk of him hurting anyone on accident? Power Loader asked. Yeah, he is too strong and can easily kill people if he isn't careful. It's why I didn't want him involved with any combat at all, Aizawa said, ignoring the feeling of dread he was currently feeling. Well, my mad scientist found a way to make young Midoriya even stronger, and they are currently going through the upgrade process, Power Loader said while Aizawa remained quiet. Aizawa? Power Loader said hesitantly, only for Aizawa to fall to the ground unconscious. Holy shit, he fainted, Present Mike said. Is now a bad time to mention that Midoriya has a couple of mental issues that just came to light? Nedzu said, sipping his tea. Everyone looked at Nedzu like he just let them know the world was going to end in 10 minutes. Not even a minute later, all the teachers were panicking, crying. Except for Nedzu, he just laughed. An hour later, with Izuku and Mei. Wake up, 10 million, Mei yelled while slapping Izuku awake. That cake had it coming, Izuku yelled as he shot up. Quick, eat this and transform, she said, holding a stick that was on fire. Without a second thought, he ate the fire and began to glow. He jumped into the air as rocks surrounded his head. As soon as they connected, fire shot from his head. His t-shirt was replaced by a light gray sleeveless jacket with red lines going all over it. His pants were long, solid black and baggy. The pants were held up by a belt that was gray with red specks. His shoes were a pair of black sandals that matched the pants. So cool, are you ready for the test? She asked. Yeah, let's do this, he said. Izuku and Mei made their way to ground beta to test Izuku's upgrade. Both grinning like psychopaths, excited to see what he could do. Once they made it, Mei went to the control panel while Izuku went to the center of the gym. May, I'm ready whenever you are, he said into the earpiece May gave him. Got it, I will start the bots at a danger level 20, she said. It wasn't long before a swarm of 3-pointers attacked him. He jumped away before deciding to unleash his fire breath, only to be surprised by what came out. A strange liquid shot out of his mouth, landing a good 3 meters away from him. He was about to go touch it when a lone 3-pointer ran into the pile of goop. As soon as the bot stepped into the liquid, it began to melt. He just watched while in a minute the robot was gone, melted into a puddle. May, he said. What's up 10 mil, need me to up the difficulty? She asked. No, it is just a test, but I can breath lava, he said. Holy shit, are you serious? She asked. Yeah, I just melted a 3-pointer, was that supposed to happen? He asked. I wanted to make your fire stronger, I didn't think this would happen. Then again, lava is just better fire, keep testing, she said. Alright, he said before making his way to his targets. He shot as much lava as he could at a group of 5 3-pointers. The bots aimed at him only to be splattered by lava. The burning liquid quickly melting the targets as he continued running. He soon spotted a few more bots and shot lava between him and them. He then thought a rock in order to get the bots' attention. As soon as the robots saw him, they opened fire at him. Thinking quickly, he shot lava at the bullets, melting them instantly. He turned around and ran, leading the bots into piles of lava he had set up early. As Thai bots melted, another group charged at him only to be destroyed by his punches. This went on for the next half hour until there were no more targets. He made his way back to May so he could see if she was still awake. He found her asleep on the ground, which didn't shock him. He knew she worked hard to make this possible. He picked her up in a bridal carry and made his way to the nurse's office. After dropping her off, he made his way home, texting his parents that he was on his way. He saw text from Ochako asking if May had touched him inappropriately and more. He chuckled at how jealous his girlfriend got, but figured it would be better to calm her down. He didn't need his girlfriend and his baby maker to hate each other. Once he got home, he told his parents his day before helping his mom cook dinner. His dad told them about a crime who was appended not by the police or a hero, but by his grandmother. Once they finished eating, he washed the dishes while his parents watched some game show. When he finished, he said goodnight and warned them not to make a mess of the living room like last time, leaving the adults blushing. Class 1A were waiting at one of the training area in their hero costumes. All Might showed up and told them about how they planned to test how much their internships helped them improve. The task was to get to All Might before anyone else in your group. After breaking the class into groups of 5, the first group consisted of Izuku, Shiro, Ojiro, Mina and Shoji. As soon as they began, Shiro and Ojiro took off soaring above the buildings. Shoji ran in while Mina skated in on acid that trying to catch up. Izuku ate a nearby tire and shot off quickly, passing Shiro and Ojiro. He ran up the building quickly, making his way to All Might. I have to stop Midoriya, he always wins but not this time, Shiro thought before jumping in front of Izuku. You always win Midoriya but no dash, Shiro began only to be run over. Izuku arrived at All Might a few minutes before Ojiro. Not long after he arrived, Mina slid up to them. Then Shoji arrived carrying an unconscious Shiro. What happened to Shiro? Izuku asked. I don't know, I just found him on the ground knocked out, Shoji answered. Recovery girl will have him fixed up in no time. Now on to the next group, All Might said. While the medic bots took Shiro away, the other 4 made their way to the class. For the rest of class, they ran the exercise before heading back to their homeroom where Aizawa was waiting. Your final exams are coming up. I expect you all to study and train hard. Those who fail won't be allowed to attend the summer camp and will have extra classes here with me, Aizawa said before drinking an entire bottle of whiskey and going to sleep. Should we let Nedsu know Aizawa is drinking on the job? Jiro asked. Nah, he needs it to deal with us, Midoriya said happily before making his way to Urakara. Hey Ochako, I wanted to get your opinion on what movie we should go see tonight, Izuku said, handing her a list of movies playing that night. You should hold off on your date until we don't have a major exam or event coming up, Ida suggested. This is UA's hero course. Every test or event is major and I'm sure they don't want to wait till they graduate to try and go out, Mina said while she and a few others gathered around Momo's desk. That's true, plus my brother has mentioned how hard it is to date when you're a pro hero, Ida said. Yep, so we can leave as soon as we change clothes, Izuku said, not looking away from the movie Uraraka pointed out. With that, the bell rang and the class made their way back to the dorm. A few minutes after they changed, Izuku and Ochako met at the front of the dorm. Izuku was wearing black jean pant, a purple t-shirt and a dark blue jacket. Uraraka wore a pink dress that went down to her knees with a black jacket that was clearly borrowed from Momo given the quality of the material. You look great, Izuku, Uraraka said. And you look good enough to eat, Midoriya said with a wink, making the girl blush. Have fun you two and remember to use protection, Mina teased, causing Uraraka to let out a squeak. No promises now, we better get going or we will be late. With that, the couple left. A few minutes later, the couple arrive at the movie theater and were lucky enough to not have to wait in line to get their tickets. After grabbing their popcorn and drinks, that sat down in the back row. So what is this movie about anyway? He whispered as the lights began to dim. It's a comedy movie about a robot who goes on a rampage after discovering Twitter, she answered. As the movie played, everyone in the theater would occasionally burst out laughing. After an hour and a half, the movie finally ended and the two made their way outside. So what should we do next? She asked. I have a great idea, follow me. With that, he took her hand and led her somewhere. Izuku grabbed Uraraka and began to drag her to the destination he had in mind. Uraraka, for her part, kept asking where they were going, only to be told you'll love it. After 5 minutes of running, they stopped at what appeared to be a cafe. Sweet justice, Ochako said, tilting her head in confusion. The best desert-only cafe and the only place that hasn't banned me, Midoriya said like it was normal. The two made their way in and sat at a booth across from each other before being given the menu by a girl dressed like a clown. After a few minutes, they placed their order and began to talk about the movie and school. While discussing what the class finals are going to be, when the waitress brought their order of Neapolitan mochi and iced tea for Ochako. Izuku was given the entire cake section and a diet soda, shocking the other patrons of the cafe. I would ask if you can eat, but I have seen how much you can eat at lunch, she said, chuckling slightly. Yeah, that's the problem. With having a dimensional void for a stomach. You can never be full, he said, inhaling all his food at once. You say that so casually, but how does your family feed you if you have to eat so much? She asked. Oh, I don't have to eat like that, but eating helps keep my mind from wandering to things I would rather not think about, he said. I see. So what do you do outside of class? She asked. Well, besides training, I enjoy taking naps in trees, see how far I can push an all-you-can-eat buffet place before they kick me out, and hanging out with wild animals in the forest, he said. Wait, you hang out with wild animals? She asked. Yeah, for some reason they are drawn to me. What about you? He asked. Well, I usually help my parents with their company, although I have started practicing sewing a few weeks ago, she said, eating the last bit of her mochi. What do your parents do? He asked as he looked at the check. They run a construction company. Unfortunately, the business isn't doing too well, she said sadly. I'm sure that everything will work out, he said as he finished paying for the food. I wish, but the Wasabi construction crew keeps stealing potential clients from us, she said sadly. I can help if you want, he offered as the two made their way to Uraraka's apartment. As the two approached her family's room, they saw 20 different people in crimson robes standing around her parents. Uraraka pulled her phone out, about to call the police, but was stopped when Midoriya spoke up. What's up, everyone? He said, causing everyone to look at him. Lord Midoriya, the robed figures said before bowing. What? Was all Uraraka could manage. Yeah, some people saw what I could do and decided I was actually an eldritch abomination, so they formed a cult in my honor to save humanity, he explained in a whisper. Why would they think that? She whispered back. I told them to as a joke. I didn't think they would take a 6-year-old seriously, he whispered, leaving her stunned. Why are you all here? Midoriya asked. Well, we heard you had a date, so we came to invite her family into our family and to offer our assistance if they need it, the robed figure closest to Midoriya said. Oh, okay. Say, do any of you know anything about the Wasabi construction crew? He asked. Uraraka was going to stop him when a female voice spoke up. I do, my lord, a female cultist said. What can you tell me about their work? He asked. Overpriced, and they always use the cheapest supplies even if they have a fortune of a budget. All around a terrible company. I suspect the owner is either blackmailing people or is using a quirk to constantly get clients, she answered. I see, I will have to talk to Dad about this, If you all ever need construction, I am sure the Urarakas will be willing to help, he said. We will seek them if we need construction done, my lord, the cultist said before they all made their way to the set of elevators. The couple walked up to the rest of the Uraraka family and said after saying goodbye, Midoriya jumped out the window at the end of the hall. The family just walked back into their apartment, not sure how to react. Sweetheart, I love you and I respect your right to decide who you date, but did you have to pick the crazy cult leader? Her dad said, only to get his shoulders slapped by his wife. Be nice, dear, at least he has good business sense for when they take over the family business, her mother said. First, I had no idea about the cult until just now, and second, it was our first date. We are not even close to thinking of marriage, she said with an even larger blush than normal. I don't know, he seems like the guy who would propose sooner rather than later, her mother said. I would argue with you on that if I didn't think he would, she said with a sigh. Meanwhile, at the Midoriya residence. How was your date, sweetie? Inko asked as Izuku walked in. Great, I hopefully can set up another date soon, he answered. That's great, should we start preparing for your wedding, she taunted while Naomasa smiled. Let's do it, I could go for some wedding cake, Izuku said, excited at the idea. No getting married until your third year at UA, but cake does sound good right now, Naomasa said. That reminds me, Dad, I may have a case for you. It may involve blackmail or illegal Quirk usage, Izuku said. Oh, do tell, Naomasa said. It was the next school day and everyone was waiting for Aizawa to walk in. While the class waited, Uraraka was telling the other girls about her date and what she had seen. After hearing how it went, Mina was rolling on the floor laughing and Toru was struggling to breath, doing her best to not fall out of her seat. The others, while chuckling at the idea of a 6-year-old starting a cult, were more concerned. Uraraka, are you sure it's safe to date Midoriya? I mean, he has shown no regard for killing people and now we learn he has a cult following, Momo asked, concerned for her friend. Well, the only thing he killed was the Nomu, so that's fine. As for the cult, they haven't really done anything bad, so I don't see an issue with them. Besides, one of the cultists, Jalal, made my family an amazing banana bread as a gesture of peace, Uraraka said calmly. He ate nearly all of the League of Villains. Do you really think they are alive? Jair asked. I asked him about that a few days after the incident. Apparently anything he inhales goes to some sort of pocket dimension unharmed. He tied a camera to a rope and recorded it when he was 10. Uraraka said, pulling out her phone to show the video. What the hell? Jairu whispered while the other girls were frozen in shock at video. Maybe the cult as a point, Mina said, giggling at Midoriya's antics. A few minutes later, Aizawa walked in and everyone greeted him. He warned them that their final exam were coming up and that if they failed they wouldn't get to go on their summer camp trip. Then he climbed into his sleeping bag and went to sleep, leaving some of his students to panic. It was mainly Kaminari and Mina who were panicking, but still, thankfully Momo offered to help them study for the exam. Then others began to ask for her help, so she arranged a study session at her mansion. After their plans were made, the time flew by and it was time for lunch. Izuku quickly ate his mountain of food while Ida, Uraraka, Bakugo and Kirishima were discussing what the finals were going to be. In the middle of their speculations, someone smacked into the back of his head. Everyone looked and saw that the culprit was none other than Monoma. I'm sorry, your head was just too big that I couldn't avoid hitting you, Monoma mocked, only to be hit by Kendo. I look away for 1 second and you already are antagonizing Class 1A. I am sorry about him, Kendo said, bowing slightly. It's fine, but Monoma is bleeding, so you may want to take him to recovery, girl, Uraraka said. I will, but before I go, I heard about the final exam is going to be against the robots during the entrance exam, Kendo said while picking Monoma off the floor. How could you tell them? We had the advantage, Monoma whined before being knocked out and dragged away. Well, at least we can prepare properly now, Ida said. Uraraka noticed Izuku looking where Kendo left and noticed he seemed upset about something. Before she could say anything, Bakugo smacked Izuku in the back of the head, snapping him out of his trance. You're still wondering what it feels like, huh? Bakugo asked sarcastically. This question made Uraraka realize why Midoriya was staring at Kendo. Can you blame me? I just want to know what it's like to bleed for once, Midoriya said, confusing the others. What do you mean you want to know what it's like to bleed? Kirishima asked while Uraraka released a sigh of relief. I can't be hurt, or at least nothing has hurt me enough to actually injure me, But I have seen people bleed on occasion and wondered what it felt like, Izuku explained. This little and he's kept trying to hurt himself before giving up. I've told him it hisses, but he still says he wants to experience it once, Bakugo said, shocking the rest of the table. I still don't know why it's such a big deal. It's no different from wanting to go to another country, Midoriya said. Dude, you shouldn't worry about that. Besides, who knows, maybe you will get hurt during the exam, Kirishima said, trying to change the subject. But Kendo said the exam was going to be against the robots from the entrance exam and those broke so easily, Midoriya whined. Well, maybe the exam will use upgraded versions of them to see how far we have come, Uraraka said before finishing her lunch. I wonder if Mei knows anything about the finals, Midoriya wondered out loud. She would most likely be required to keep quiet about it. Let's just wait for the finals and see what happens, Kirishima said. With that, days flew by and before they knew it, the day of the practical final exam had arrived. Some students were excited since they knew what to expect. That was until Nezu, being a being of chaos, shattered their plans. I know you all heard about the exam would be against robots. However, to prepare for the worst, we decided this year's finals will be you versus the staff, Nezu said, still sitting on Aizawa's shoulder. What? Haha, classic Nezu, were the reactions of the class. Everyone looked at Midoriya as he finished laughing. Well, it was this with us wearing special gear to put us at a fraction of our abilities, or you can all fight Midoriya at his full strength, Nezu said. So which teachers are we fighting? A majority of the class asked. I'm not that scary, Midoriya muttered, crouching in a corner while Uraraka comforted him. Good choice. Here are how the exams, but first welcome your new classmate Shinso Hitoshi, Nezu said as Shinso walked out from behind a nearby wall. Sup was all he said. Now here is the exams, Nezu said. Midnight versus Ojiro and Shiro. Aizawa versus Momo and Todoroki. Snipe versus Hagakure and Shuji. Cementos versus Kirishima and Sato. 13 versus Uraraka and Oyama. Present Mike versus Jiru and Shinso. Nezu versus Kaminari and Ishido. Ectoplasm versus Tsu and Tokoyami. Power Loader versus Ida and Koda. All Might versus Bakugo and Midoriya. Both Bakugo and Midoriya grinned in excitement, and while All Might did look confident, he secretly gave Nezu an envelope. Nezu opened it and saw 2 letters. The first was asking for help with this, to which the principal shook his head, and the other letter was a will. Ojiro and Shiro versus Midnight. The 2 students walked in while trying to plan on how they should go about the exam. So do you think we should go for the exit or try and cuff Midnight Sensei? Shiro asked as the 2 made their way to the center of the test site. Well, we don't have much to use for leverage. It would probably be easier to escape than fight, Ojiro said. All right, I will follow your lead, but first take this non-sticky tape, Shiro said, handing over the strip of tape. What's this for? Ojiro asked. Well, since you don't have anything to prevent Midnight Sensei's quirk, I figure you could use to cover your mouth just in case, Shiro said while peeking from their cover. Good idea, Ojiro said, but before he could use it, a pink mist hit him, knocking him out. Shiro jumped away while Midnight swung her whip, trying to capture him. After dodging the whip, Shiro shot a strand of tape, grabbing Ojiro and getting him away from Midnight. Naughty, naughty boys, it's wrong to leave a young lady all alone, Midnight said. Who lied and said you're young? Shiro asked, taunting the teacher. You're lucky that Nezu instructed us to hold back, otherwise I would make you pay, Midnight said, swinging her whip as fast as she could, trying to capture. Shiro continued using his quirk to escape the teacher while Midnight used her whip to pull herself towards the students. Despite the weights she had on, she almost reached them, only to be slapped by Ojiro's tail. Glad you're awake. Any ideas? Shiro asked, catching his breath. I have one, but I don't know how well it will work, Ojiro said. Well, we don't have much of a choice. She will find us soon, Shiro said. All right, I saw the gate, so I will launch you at it with my tail, and then you use your tape to grab me and throw me at the gate, Ojiro said. All right, it's risky, but let's do it. With that, Shiro jumped as Ojiro spun and smacked his partner, sending the tape user flying. Midnight was searching for her students when suddenly she saw Shiro flying through the air. As she ran for the tape user, she watched as he shot some tape and flung Ojiro to the gate. She swung her whip, aiming to capture Shiro, only for him to be pulled away by Ojiro, pulling the tape wrapped around his waist. With all his might, Ojiro flung Siro with enough force that the boy passed the gate. Siro and Ojiro passed. Good work you two, but word of advice, never mention or even a joke about a woman's age, Midnight said. Momo and Todoroki versus Aizawa. As soon as the exam started, Momo created little dolls while Todoroki kept a flame going so they would know if Aizawa saw them. It wasn't long before their quirks stopped and the two began to run while Aizawa followed them on the rooftops. The two students were about to turn the corner when Aizawa's capture scarf caught Todoroki's leg before dragging him away from Momo. Keep running, Todoroki shouted while attempting to punch Aizawa. Wuchai quickly restrained him. Sacrificing yourself so your partner can escape, big mistake, especially when the enemy can easily take you down, Aizawa scolded, wrapping Todoroki in his capture scarf. You're right that it is foolish, but who said she was escaping? Todoroki said, causing Aizawa's eyes to widen before jumping to a nearby roof just in time to avoid chains that were aimed right where he was. Aizawa, however, didn't have time to relax as some flashbang grenades blew up in his face. By the time he could see, his students were gone, and he cursed himself for being reckless before running off to find them. However, Momo and Todoroki never left the area and were in fact in the house he was standing on. Did you plant it? Momo whispered. Yeah, we should be able to track him now, Todoroki whispered. Momo pulled out a small monitor before she and Todoroki began to sneak around the city. Whenever Aizawa got close, they hid in one of the buildings. This pattern continued till the exit was in sight. The students quickly ran for the gate, however the two were stopped when Aizawa's capture scarf caught their legs, causing them to fall. You did well making it this far, but it ends here, Aizawa said, throwing his students into the air ready to slam them, only for Momo to reach into her cloak. Aizawa used his quirk to stop her, but what he didn't expect was for her to pull out a grenade launcher and shoot a smoke grenade. Smoke quickly filled the area. Aizawa jumped out and pulled to drag Momo and Todoroki with him. But when the two were out of the smoke, he saw Momo was wielding a minigun and that they were now both free. Momo opened fire, causing Aizawa to dive for cover. While Momo kept Aizawa pinned, Todoroki ran through the gate. Momo and Todoroki passed. Not bad you two, Aizawa said to himself. Jairu and Shinso were running through the forest, trying to reach the gate. Both of them were concerned that they had yet to run into Present Mike. Unbeknownst to them, their teacher was standing by the gate. After a few seconds, Mike took a deep before letting out a yell, blasting through most of the forest. Jairu and Shinso covered their ears while running forward, although that was near impossible with the sound waves pushing them back. As soon as Present Mike stopped screaming, the two students continued making their way to the gate while trying to come up with a plan. Got any ideas, Shinso? Jairu asked. None that I think will work, Shinso answered. Well, we have to try something, so tell me what they are, Jairu said. Alright, what if I use my quirk on you and have you run forward while carrying me, Shinso suggested. We can try, but I can't guarantee it will work since my hearing is sensitive, Jairu said. The two put the plan into action and Jairu carried Shinso on her back while he covered her ears as an extra precaution. Unfortunately, that plan didn't work as the next scream still snapped Jairu out of Shinso's control. Jairu immediately covered Shinso's ears since he was still covering hers. Once the screaming stopped, Shinso got off Jairu and the two continued forward while spitballing ideas for how to deal with it. They tried anything they could think of, from using Shinso's capture scarf to hold onto the trees only for the trees to get knocked over. Then they tried having Jairu blow up holes to dive into, but she wasn't able to make them fast enough. This cycle continued for the next few minutes, with neither student being able to plan what to do. Eventually the timer ran out and the two failed. Both of them were upset, but Present Mike reassured them the best he could, although they didn't know what he said because their ears were ringing. Thankfully, Recovery Girl was able to heal their ears, so the only one left with injuries was Present Mike, since he forgot the rule of no yelling in the infirmary. Ida and Koda versus Power Loader. The two students were at a loss of what to do. Ida could try making a break for the gate, but with all the potholes he would more than likely crash and be captured. As for Koda, he tried calling some animal to keep an eye on Power Loader, but with all the noise and with how Power Loader appeared to the animals, that plan didn't work. Sudden, Koda whispered something to Ida. While Ida thought the plan was going to fail, he didn't have a better idea. Power Loader was digging through the ground when he noticed something odd. His helmet sensors suddenly lost the two. He quickly dug up and looked around but didn't see anything, but what he did hear was birds, and lots of them. When he looked up he saw both Ida and Koda being carried by a swarm of cranes and pelicans, which confused Powerloader on where they came from, but he would figure that out later. He immediately began hurling boulders at them, but they never reached. Realizing they were heading to the gate, Powerloader quickly dug down and began digging towards the gate. As the students approached the gate, the birds dropped them. Unfortunately, Powerloader had managed to dig a large pothole. "Damn it, we were so close," Ida said. "Sorry boys, but you put up a good fight," Powerloader said. "Hey Ida, I'm sorry," Koda said. "It's not your dash." Before Ida could finish, Koda launched Ida with both his feet, sending him just past the gate. Ida and Koda passed. "Well, I didn't expect that, but congrats on passing," Powerloader said as he pulled Koda out of the hole. All Might vs. Bakugo and Midoriya. To say that Toshinori was terrified would be an understatement. No villain he has fought was as terrifying as Midoriya. I mean, what was he going to do, punch the pink boy like that? Would do anything. They should have just gone with giving Midoriya a pass, but no, Nezu insisted he fight Midoriya. This is because he was late to his classes, because he kept stopping crime on the way to UA. "No matter, I am the symbol of peace, surely this won't be too difficult," he said to himself. Meanwhile, with Bakugo and Midoriya. "Alright, I want you to sit out the fight so I can fight All Might by myself and prove how strong I am," Bakugo said. "Okay, but if the fight goes on till the last minute, I will jump in and help us pass the exam," Midoriya said, surprising Bakugo. "Wait, you're not going to argue that you won't get to fight All Might?" Bakugo asked. "It's fine, I know how strong I am, so it would be better to let you test your strength," Midoriya said. "Alright then," Bakugo said. "He is dead meat," Midoriya thought. "Begin the exam," Nezu announced. "With the teachers." "Nezu, are you sure it's wise to have Midoriya fight All Might? Midoriya may accidentally kill him," Aizawa said. "It's fine, this is his punishment for not taking his job here seriously," Nezu said, causing every staff member to internally panic. "Oh, looks like Midoriya is letting Bakugo fight All Might alone," Midnight said as Midoriya sat on a building as All Might threw Bakugo into a car. "Did they forget this is a team exercise?" Aizawa asked rhetorically. Knowing these two, Bakugo wanted to fight and knew that Midoriya would end it quickly, so asked Midoriya to sit out, Midnight said as Bakugo used one of his gauntlets to blast the hero, which had little effect. Back with Midoriya. "Man, I wish I had some popcorn," he said as All Might slammed Bakugo into the road. "Want me to help yet, Kachin?" he yelled. Bakugo yelled back. "Alright, but you only have 1 minute and 10 seconds before I jump in," Midoriya yelled before laying down. The students and staff just stared at the screen in disbelief at what just happened. Thankfully, Nezu decided this needed to end and grabbed the microphone. "Midoriya, if you end this exam now, UA will cover the bill next time you eat out," Nezu said. As soon as he finished speaking, Midoriya landed next to All Might before punching the hero in the stomach before grabbing the hero's wrist and cuffing him. Midoriya and Bakugo passed. "Why did you jump in?" "I was doing fine," Bakugo said, still lying on the ground. "Nezu made a deal with me to end it now, but hey, since you're fine you can walk back to the observation room, right?" Midoriya said while Bakugo went silent. "Shut up and carry me to the nurse's office," Bakugo grumbled. "Yes, Princess Kachin," Midoriya said before picking up Bakugo and running to get Recovery Girl. As soon as they were gone, All Might deflated while coughing up blood. He clenched his side. The punch probably did some more damage to his scar. He needed to talk to Nezu about the next step. Meanwhile, at a secret lab. "Good Nomu code named DDD is doing well. Soon the heroes will fall and I will take over the world," the doctor said while chuckling, preparing to lock the Nomu away. Unbeknownst to him, the Nomu glared at the doctor back in anger. The Nomu slowly walked up behind the doctor as some flesh from its hands stretched before forming a massive mallet. The doctor noticed a shadow overcome him and turned only for the Nomu to crush the doctor with a single swing. With the doctor dead, the Nomu walked out of the room and to the doctor's computer before typing away. The Nomu quickly found what he was looking for and started releasing all the Nomu. As all the Nomu left their cell, the main Nomu slammed his hammer into a wall, getting the attention of all the Nomus. "We are free now. It is time to avenge our fallen brothers and sisters against the Pink Menace," the Nomu said as he pointed his hammer at a picture of Midoriya before smashing the photo with his hammer chapter text. Most of Class 1A was nervous since they were going to receive the results for the finals. Those who failed were sad since they were not going to get to go. Have fun at camp, guys, Mina said. Let us know how it goes, Kaminari said. I can't wait to eat so many s'mores, Midoriya said, not realizing he was rubbing salt in their wounds. You know you're banned from any cooking tool and are not allowed to eat until everyone else is full, Bakugo said. All right, everyone take your seats, Aizawa said as he took off his sleeping bag. Everyone immediately got in their seats, once everyone was quiet. Good, now it was rather obvious who passed and who failed. I told you all that those who failed wouldn't get to go, but that was a logical ruse, Aizawa said. What? Everyone screamed. Obviously if someone failed, they would need the summer camp more than those who passed, but don't be fooled, those who failed will wish they didn't have to go, Aizawa said with what they could only assume was a smile. After school. I am so glad we get to go, Mina said. We should all go to the mall and get what we need for the camp, Uraraka said. Yeah, I can think of a few things that I need to get, Jiru said. I need to start stockpiling my s'more supplies, Izuku said. Midoriya, there is not enough chocolate, marshmallows and graham crackers in the world to satisfy you, Ida said. Here is my father's credit card, use it as much as you can, Todoroki said, handing a black card to Izuku. Todoroki, that is highly illegal, Ida scolded. So is child abuse and domestic abuse, but that didn't stop my father, Todoroki said. What, Ida and Todoroki said. Let's go, Mina said. With that, most of the class made their way to the nearest mall. Bakugo and Todoroki didn't because the Bakugo prepared in advance and Todoroki was going to visit his mother. Once they arrived, they split up into groups and began their shopping. Except Momo, who looked starry-eyed since she has never been to a mall before. Jiru and Uraraka went with her. Jiru went to watch her best friend and Uraraka went because Momo was buying her some supplies. Izuku was alone looking for the first store to hit. He would go to the food court, but he still had a few weeks before he was able to go back. As he went store to store getting everything, he was stopped by the sound of screaming and explosions. I knew Kaken would come join us, Izuku said. As he arrived, he was surprised to see an army of tiny gnomes trashing the mall. Before he reacted, one of the gnomes made a weird noise while pointing a spear at him. Before he knew it, every single gnome started to charge him, only to be eaten almost instantly. He let out a sigh only to be hit a bolt of lightning. He shook off the attack and looked up to see what he could only describe as a cloud with yellow spikes and a single eye. Before Izuku could ponder it, a hero he didn't recognize showed up, but was zapped into next week. Thinking fast, Izuku looked around and saw some chairs on display. He quickly SED them up and shot the cloud. It seemed to work, but the beast could still fight. A crowd soon formed as civilians, his classmates and some heroes watched. Izuku, what are you doing? Uraraka yelled, getting his attention. Fighting a Nomu. Hey, can you get me a cake from the food court? Izuku asked, only for the cloud to ram him. Your boyfriend is going to jail, miss, a no-name hero said. Then why don't you go fight the Nomu in his place? Ida asked while Tsuyu stopped Uraraka from saying something that would make things worse. I gave him permission to use his quirk since I am sick and know how strong he is, the hero said before running away. The entire class just stared at the hero as he ran before turning back to the fight. To their shock, the cloud beast was still putting up a fight, but that wasn't the most shocking. No, what shocked Class 1A was Izuku, who was bleeding. They were about to jump in when All Might showed up and finished the Nomu off. As the crowd cheered, Izuku was scolded while Uraraka approached the two with a first aid kit. Hey Ochako, what's with the lunchbox? Izuku asked, confusing Uraraka. A first aid kit, I figured since you're hurt you could use it, she answered, her voice filled with concern. What do you mean? Izuku asked. You do know you're bleeding, right? She asked while pointing to the gash on his head. I'm what? He said as he rubbed his forehead only to see blood on his hand. To Izuku everything became a blur, then before he knew it he was at home lying in bed when his dad walked in. Hey Izuku, I just wanted to make sure you're alright since you have been quiet since your fight at the mall, Naomasa said. Oh yeah, I'm fine, just confused, he answered, still looking at the ceiling. What are you confused about? Naomasa asked as he sat at the foot of Izuku's bed. Once the fight was over my head felt funny and Ochako said I was injured. When I wiped my head I realized I was bleeding, and I don't know what to think, Izuku said. Well, getting hurt is common when you are a hero, Naomasa said. I know, but I have never been hurt before and now a Nomu was able to hurt me. It scares me because I keep thinking if these new Nomu can hurt me, what chance do the others stand, Izuku said. Izuku, what you're feeling is normal in our line of work, Naomasa said. It is? Izuku asked, looking at his father. Yep, our work is dangerous. It is common for people to die. I have had a few co-workers die protecting people and it hurts, Naomasa said as Izuku sat up. You probably started thinking that you need to keep your class away from the Nomus and handle them yourself, Naomasa said. Yeah, I have, Izuku admitted. But you have to let them help you, Naomasa said. But dash. No, but Izuku, your friends just like us know just how dangerous the world is. One person alone can't protect the world, Naomasa said. So what should I do? Izuku said. If you want my advice, spend time with your class and I know that will improve to stand by you, Naomasa said. You really think so? Izuku asked. Yep, that is one of the main things a hero does. They inspire others to rise up and improve, Naomasa said before hugging Izuku. Thanks, Dad, Izuku said. No problem, Naomasa said as he was about to leave. Oh, by the way, you're grounded for your vigilante act at the mall, Naomasa said with a smile before closing the door. Damn it, Izuku swore. The wheels on the bus go round and row dash. Izuku began singing only for Bakugo to punch him in the face. No, none of that, Bakugo said, not looking up from his phone. So, what do you think the camp is going to look like? Mina asked. Knowing Yue and Nedzu, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a hotel, Kaminari said. I wonder how they will divide rooms? Will it be boys on one side and girls on the other, or will it be co-ed? Mineta speculated. Please let us arrive already, Aizawa begged. He was sick of listening to Izuku trying to sing, the bus games and anything else they could do. Time skip brought to you by Aizawa's prayer. Finally free, I mean we're here, Aizawa said as every student left the bus, only to see an empty. The confusion only got worse when the WWPCs appeared. Oh cool, it's the Kurgar Crusaders. As soon as those words left Izuku's mouth, Pixie Bob attacked. Sorry about her, she is real sensitive about her age, Mandalay said before dragging Pixie Bob off of Izuku. So where is the camp? Kaminari asked, now scared that this was a logical ruse. About an hour that way. Try to make it there before lunch, Ragdoll said before Pixie Bob used her quirk to drop them all off of the cliff. The adults smiled till Izuku flew back up to them and landed a few feet in front of them. They just stared at each other until Izuku did a victory dance which led to Pixie Bob kicking him off the cliff. That did nothing as Izuku started flying away. Pixie Bob pulled out a bow and arrow she brought so they could shoot at the students, replaced the blunt arrowhead with a sharp one and fired the arrow at Izuku. Only for the arrow to bounce off of him and land directly on Aizawa's right foot. ANG problem children, I swear, Aizawa said, wishing Nedzu would let him expel them all. With the problem children. Can we ask Nedzu to fire Aizawa already? I am sick of his DMN logical ruses? Kaminari asked, with some of the class agreeing with him. Nedzu is the one who hired him, so I doubt he would listen, Jair said. Maybe we can have Midoriya threaten Nedzu, Siro said. No good. Nedzu became Izuku's godfather, which is the first sign of the apocalypse. Next is a beast that rivals Izuku will show up, then a rain of hot chocolate, and finally the ultimate life form will come to challenge Izuku for the world, and if Izuku wins he will be crowned King of Earth, Uraraka said, stopping when she realized everyone was looking at her. What, I am Izuku's girlfriend, so I joined the cult with my parents. It's great we get brunch every Sunday and have built a system to help each other with major work without needing to worry about paying out the nose, Uraraka said before continuing walking. I feel so confused, but that sounds nice. How do I join the cult? Mineta asked. I will talk to the others about you joining. Who knows, I heard a few girls our age say good things about you, Uraraka said. I will worship you like a goddess or queen or whatever you want, Mineta said, holding back tears of joy, only for a giant earth tiger to nearly crush him. What the hell dash, everyone screamed ready to fight, only for Izuku to crash into it from the sky. Shy, Izuku said, only for another earth beast to smack him away. Everyone get ready, looks like another test, Momo said, creating a cannon to blast the beast. The class rushed forward as more earth beast rushed them. Mineta and Siro used their quirks to restrain beast while heavy hitters like Izuku, Kirishima, Sato, Bakugo, Ida, Ojiro, and Shoji dealt with the trapped beast while ranged specialists like Momo, Mina, Aoyama, and Tokoyami dealt with the approaching beast. Uraraka and Tsu helped the rest of the class get past the rubble. After hours of fighting they had finally arrived at the summer camp completely exhausted, minus Izuku who was eating a cake. "Oh, you guys finally made it," Mandalay said. "In what world would that trip be an hour?" Most of Class 1A yelled. "Sorry, it would only be an hour for us, but you made it in time for dinner, so enjoy. After all, starting tomorrow you all will be cooking," Ragdoll said. "Except you, Midoriya, you are banned from the kitchen and eating until everyone is full," Mandalay said as everyone cheered except Izuku, who wept. "By the way, whose kid is that?" Izuku asked, pointing at Koda. "Oh, that's my nephew. His name is Koda," Mandalay said as Izuku approached Koda. "Hello, my name is Dash." Before Izuku could finish introducing himself, Koda punched him in the ball. Most of the guys winced while Bakugo smiled, only to remember what he hated most about Izuku. "Sorry, it takes a lot to hurt me. Try this blonde guy named Minoma from Class 1B. "Actually, where are 1B? Izuku asked. "They arrived earlier and are in their rooms. Boys on the left and girls on the right, and enjoy the hot spring after you eat," Tiger said, leaving the class to eat. Once they finished eating, they all went to the hot spring to unwind. Between the beautiful night sky and Minoma's squeal of pain, it was amazing. What shocked the guys was that Mineta wasn't trying to perv on the girls. When asked, he said he wasn't going to risk his chance to join the cult by perving on Izuku's girlfriend. "You know that thing about signs of apocalypse that Uraraka mentioned earlier? Now that I think about it, we may see the second signs soon," Kaminari said. "What do you mean?" Sato asked. "Well, the first sign is Nedza becoming Izuku's godfather, and then that Nomu showed up and was able to hurt Midoriya. Sure, it didn't match him, but if it could hurt him, how long till one can match him?" Kaminari said, sending a chill up everyone's spine. "Yeah, that is a scary thought, but if this camp helps us like Nedza believes it will, then we will be ready for them," Ida said, confident that they will be fine. "What gets me is that thing she said about the ultimate life form. What do you think it will look like?" Dark Shadow asked. $10 on a hedgehog, Zero said. "I will see you 10 with 20 on an android made with the DNA of all the world's greatest heroes," Ojiro said. "I will say 25 on an alien warrior," Mineta said. "I will say an all-consuming frog for 40, Bakugo said. The next day. "All right, maggots, here is the plan," Ragdoll said with a helmet that covered her eyes, only for Mandalay to take the helmet off and hit her on the head. She then looked at both classes and began to explain what they will do. "We have set up things and routines to help improve your quirks, help deal with the drawbacks of your quirks, and ways to help you build up more muscles and reflexes. We will divide you all between the four of us and we will begin your training," Mandalay said. "Okay, first Izuku, Ojiro, Kirishima, Tetsu, Kendo and Shoji will be with Tiger. Guys will attack Tiger and Izuku, who will dodge and counter with equal force. Next Momo, Sato, Pony, Tokoyami, Kaminari, Kamakiri, Uraraka, Mineta, Zero and Aoyama, you will be with me and I will have you guys use your quirks consistently so you will be able to use your quirks longer and weaken your drawbacks. Manga, Reiko, Kodai, Bakugo, Mina, Ibara, Tsu, Toru, Minoma, Awaze, Kuwaro, and Shishida will all be with Pixie Bob and she will have different tasks that she refused to share with me. The rest of you will be with Ragdoll and she will give you all the instructions on what to do. We will rotate groups every hour, so when you hear the bell switch, so split up and get to work," Mandalay said as the two classes split up and started their training. "With Tiger, you all have to be faster than the villains and be able to take a hit and recover fast," Tiger shouted as he dodged an attack from Kendo before retaliating with a devastating headbutt, sending her to the ground. Ojiro jumped at the pro only for Izuku to kick him in the face. Izuku said before dancing, which angered the two martial artists. "Why are you dancing during our training?" Kendo asked as she lunged. "Because I know you can't beat me, so I am using this to train my dance moves," Izuku said, enraging the two who rushed him. No matter what they did, nothing fazed Izuku. Even when they landed what should have been powerful hits, he wasn't fazed and just countered them. The two refused to give up and focused on the pink boy while the others attacked the pro hero. The pro took the exercise seriously and gave advice every time he landed a blow. He soon saw what was going on and decided to give the two some advice. Remember, kids, villains will do whatever they can to throw you off, so you need to be able to adapt fast, Tiger yelled as he hit Shoji into Kirishima and Tetsu. The two martial artists looked at each other and nodded before trying their next plan. Izuku watched as Kendo grew her hands and threw Ojiro at him. Izuku ducked only for Kendo to rush him and slam her enlarged hands on him. Izuku blocked with both arms, however, before he could counter. Ojiro used his tail to launch into the air and slammed his tail on Kendo's hands, smashing Izuku into the ground. The duo smiled only for Izuku to laugh in amusement at their combo. Great work, you two, you managed to hit me. Now it's my turn, Izuku said, throwing Kendo's fist and Ojiro off him before jumping to grab Ojiro's tail and throwing him into Kendo. With Mandalay. Alright, Momo and Sato, you're going to eat as fast as you can, and Momo, I want you to create things as fast as you can. Start with something small and then we will move to something large. Next, Tokoyami, I will have you enter a cave so you can work on controlling Dark Shadow in case he gets out of control. Mineta and Pony, I want you two to keep creating your horns and the sticky ball non-stop. Uraraka, Siro, and Oyama, you three are going to use your quirks non-stop as well, so you can use your quirks for longer without issue. Kaminari, we have a battery for you to use your quirk on so no one gets hurt. Lastly, Kamakiri, we have giant blocks of stone and you will attack until it is time to change. Now get to the stations I showed you and begin, Mandalay said as the students went to their stations. Momo and Sato began stuffing their faces with sweets while Momo started making whatever she could think of. Uraraka and Siro stood on top of a hill, and while Siro shot his tape off the cliff, Uraraka floated herself and heavier objects. Mineta and Pony both got to work, with Pony shooting her horns into trees and Mineta piling the sticky ball into a neat pile. Tokoyami entered the cave and soon shouts could be heard from deep inside. Kaminari jumped straight into using his quirk at full power and kept pushing it, while Kamakiri attacked the blocks of stone, replacing his blades as fast as he could while trying to force them to cut deeper each time. However, unbeknownst to them, a great danger lurked deep in his secret lab. There stood a Nomu, not just any Nomu but the most powerful Nomu ever made. This Nomu looked down at the army of abominations he and the few Nomus like him made before taking a deep breath. Soon this world will be ours, so says the next king of this planet, King Du. The Nomu yelled as a crown and robe was placed on him, all the while the abominations and Nomu cheered.